What is going on, everybody? Monday, May 2nd, 2022. It's opening night of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I couldn't be any happier to be here with all of you guys. So let's get into it. I'm going to do it just like always throughout all these other shows and things like that that we've done on Colorcast. Also, simulcasting everything on YouTube, so hopefully everything goes again well as it should. I am imagining that this is going to be a very good game. On the other side of it, for Carolina now, they found out that Freddie Anderson is not going to be able to go tonight, and he might not be able to go within the first couple games in the series. So it's going to be really interesting in regards of what's actually going to happen right now in this series. Do you really realize that Carolina has absolutely dominated throughout the regular season, but the hopes and dreams of everything else for the Carolina Hurricanes might rest on what's in goal? Again, you throw out some of the things that have gone on during the regular season just because you have to. The playoffs are a completely different animal. So Carolina won all three games. They outscored Boston 16-1. It was a 3-1 game in the first game. It was a 6-0 and a 7-0. Freddie Anderson had two shutouts, but again, he's not playing. Boston was 1 for 14 on the power play, so a lot of other things had went right for Carolina. Boston was the team that knocked out Carolina within the last couple of years in the second round, so both the Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes are trying to get to the second round, but one of these is not going to be, one of these teams will not be here after the 7-game series, that's for sure. So for the Boston Bruins, it sounds like this: Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Jake DeBrusk, Hampus Lindholm, and Charlie McAvoy. With Eric Halla, Taylor Hall, David Pastrnak, Matt Grzelcyk, and Brandon Carlo, Charlie Coyle with Trent Frederick and Craig Smith, and then Tomas Nosek with Nick Foligno and Curtis Lazar. Derek Forbert and Connor Clifton round out the third defensive pairing. Linus Ullmark will get the start in net over the young gun Jeremy Swayman. So for the Carolina Hurricanes, it sounds like this: a little bit of a mix. Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov usually on the first line still are, but Seth Jarvis, the rookie, is going to get the start on the right wing side. First defensive pairing sounds like this: Jacob Slavin and Tony DeAngelo. It's Vincent Trocheck, Max Domi, Teuvo Teravainen, Brady Shea, and Brett Pesce. Third line is Jordan Stahl, Nito Niederreiter, Jesper Fast, with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Jordan Newhook, and Martin Necas. And then Ian Cole and Brendan Smith will be the defensive pairing. So Brendan Smith, that's interesting too. So they did not go with Ethan Bear. And on the other side, like we said, for Carolina, it's Antti Ranta. Peter Kochekov would also be in that, but he's also a rookie. And then Jack LaFontaine, remember the Minnesota transfer from Michigan, the Big Ten, he's the third string goalie here. So Frederik Andersen's probably not getting the start within the first couple of games in this series. And Boston's going to look to take advantage of that. Look, again, as we've said, the perfection line has done a ton of damage for the Boston Bruins. We can go through some of that. I have some of the boxes and capsules already done from yesterday as far as all 8 playoff series, and a lot of those stats will come from that today. But between the perfection line, it was Brad Marchand, 70 games played, 32 goals, 40 assists, 80 points. David Pastrnak, Pasta is returning into the lineup. He is healthy now. 72 games played, 40 goals, 37 assists, and 77 points. And Patrice Bergeron, after a slow start and some injuries, still 73 games played, 25 goals, 40 assists, 65 points, and a plus 26. So Carolina's going to have to do their best to slow the Boston perfection line down. And for Carolina, it's as simple as it's always been. Again, Anderson's not in net, but they outscored the Boston Bruins 16-1 in the series. They've absolutely dominated them because Aho, Svechnikov, and Teravainen are as good of two-way forwards that you have. And between Tony DeAngelo, Jacob Slavin, especially now Slavin, Shea, Pesce, Cole, all those guys are top-notch defenders. DeAngelo was a plus 30. Jacob Slavin was a plus 35. Jacob Slavin might be one of the best all-around lockdown defenders that we have in the league right now. So Carolina stopped Boston from getting shots. They had a lot of depth scoring between Jarvis, Necas, Jordan Stahl, and Jesper Fast, all hovering around 40 points. Hell, even the Boston Bruins on that side with Eric Halla, Charlie Coyle, and Jake DeBrusk, Craig Smith, all on that same aspect of it. But with Carolina missing Freddie Anderson, 52 games played at .217 and a .922. Antti Ranta did fine. He was 28 games played, .245, .912 save percentage, as opposed to Linus Ullmark, who really came on strong at the end. It was pretty much Swayman and Ullmark swapping start for start. Ullmark was 41 games played, 26, 10, and 2 with a .245 and .917. So in the capsules, we talked about who's going to win the series and give reasons for both. For Carolina, this is one of those ones where Boston with the backup goalie in there as Ronta for Carolina's side. Boston's got to take this one on road ice. They want this one bad. They got dominated in the regular season. But Boston can go out and win this series if the perfection line continues to do what they're doing. If the depth scoring continues to be there, if they can get some top play for Charlie McAvoy that they've already had, and Matt Grzelcyk and Hampus Lindholm, the return there and the trade from the second and third from the Anaheim Ducks, all those things can go the right way. It's whether or not, for me, again, and I say this is the same on the Carolina side with the backup goalie in today, but between Swayman and Ullmark, I think Ullmark's probably going to get the brunt of the starts. We'll see what happens in the series as it goes forward. If there's a blowout there, it might get a quick switch in the pipes. But Ullmark's going to have to do some heavy lifting here because Carolina, again, they're content to win a game 1-0, 2-1, slow everybody down in the series. Boston can't necessarily do that. Carolina is one of those teams that can in the East, and just like in the West, the Los Angeles Kings can do that. They might lose a 6-0 game to Edmonton, but they'll come back and they'll win a 1-0 or a 2-1. So Boston's going to have to get some really good goaltending on the back end, and the perfection line is going to have to be the perfection line. And for Carolina, I don't think much has to change. Again, maybe they play a little shaky within the first opening period because their main goaltender is not there, but Carolina has been one of the best all-around teams that we've had. As Justin Williams is using the siren right now. He was Mr. Game 7 between Carolina, between the Los Angeles Kings, all of that. So it's going to be a fired-up PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. So this should be a good one. Carolina's not going to have to change much as far as what they've already done. I would expect them to play that well-rounded, all-around game. And if, you know what, if it's a 1-0 or a 2-1, Carolina is going to be able to play that suffocating defense, and it's going to be up to Boston to be able to try to break through. So right now we're getting the national anthem. It's going to be a sold-out PNC Arena. John on here with you for the Eastern Conference Finals quarterfinal here. Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. Carolina had the better record, so they get home ice in the first 2 games, and then the series will switch to Boston for the next 2. I imagine, as I've talked about in the preview, that this is going to be a longer series. This is probably going to be a 6 or 7 game series. Even with Ronta and net, I would give the slight edge to Carolina as far as the all-around games, because they're one of the best all-around teams. Again, the all-around team versus the perfection line, and control versus playing on edge. Boston can absolutely throw a wrench in the series and are causing some injuries playing on edge. Havoc with Marchand, whether he licks people figuratively or literally, he can provide a few licks on the ice, whether it be a hit or an actual one at that. So this should be a really good series. I'm really looking forward to it. And again, I'm doing the early game here so I can get the story and everything else. Just in case for tomorrow, if I get one of my buddies to go ahead and do the, he's a huge Calgary Flames fan, so it's Dallas and Calgary. If he ends up getting that, we might get one of those late games. But I plan on doing a game today, which is this one. And then tomorrow might be another early game, probably be the, I want to say, Penguins and Rangers. And then we're going to take a break on Wednesday because we had all the stuff posted Sunday for all the videos. And then game coverage Monday, Tuesday, take a break Wednesday, and then come back as Emily Kaplan looks on. I'm sure she's going to be doing some coverage here for ESPN. I'm really looking forward to this series. What about you guys? Let me know your predictions in the box below, and then once we get a commercial break, I'll go back into the YouTube side and see if I see any comments or anything else, and I can interact with you during the broadcast. But right now, I'm simulcasting here on Colorcast on the iPhone. If you got your iPhone with you, you can download that, download the Colorcast app. I'm here live here with you, and then on the YouTube side as well. Everybody's waving the white towels here in PNC Arena, Raleigh, North Carolina. I do see a few Bruins fans. They will travel. I see a crap ton of Carolina Hurricanes fans right now, and they should be very, very excited. This team is very, very good. Get a look at Elias Ullmark on the side here. So it's ESPN and ESPN2 coverage for the most part. Again, if you're following the Canadian teams between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers, probably going to want to go on the CBC side of the broadcast. Antti Raanta, again, 15-5-4, 245 and 912 and 2 shutouts. So he's been pretty good as well. So again, for as good as Carolina is, even with Ronta and net right now, I would imagine they're going to come out rocking, and Boston's got to do their due diligence, try to steal Game 1 on road ice, turn this series around right now, because this is a raucous PNC Arena crowd. We're getting set to get underway here, folks. It's big time here right now. Sebastian Aho and Patrice Bergeron on the draw. getting set up here. Bergeron. Couple extra whacks in there. He gets it, try to get it clean, and gets one there off of the draw there. So it's Brady Shea. We'll dump this one in. Now we're underway here. This is the first round in the Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Marchand trying to get around Brett Pesce and Shea. Momentarily picked up again. Marchand centers it out in front. Nice glove save by Raanta. Whacking at it a few times. And they blow the whistle away. So quick pressure for the Boston Bruins right on Raanta, right on the onset. And that's exactly what we were talking about in the open for Boston. They want to get on Raanta and pressure him quickly. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be a little bit nervous, but again, you'd imagine he's not going to be one of the ones that would expect to get a start. It was stuck in between the skates and the pads, and the whistle was blown. So Patrice Bergeron, part with that deflection line, is still out there right now. Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, and Seth Jarvis will be on the first line. Faceoff was won there by Boston, picked back up by Marchand. Floating shot goes just wide of Raanta to the left post, and Carolina will get this one down deep before it goes up and out of play, before there was some wholesale line changes. So Carolina is going to have to come back here. They're showing Jacob Slavin and Tony DeAngelo on that first part of the defensive line with Brady Shea and Brett Pesce, and then Brendan Smith and now Ethan Bear. So Ethan Bear will get a part of the start as well. So a little bit different from the Roto-Wire opening lineups that we talked about in the beginning of it. So the face-off is going to be at center ice right now for the Carolina Hurricanes as Rod Brind'Amour looks on. Again, this team is really, really good. They're showing Bruce Cassidy as well, 6th season as Bruins head coach, a 35-37 playoff record. Right now, your over-under is at 5.5. Carolina is a goal-and-a-half favorite, and I'm surprised, even with the backup in net. Not a lot of respect here for Boston. It's probably stemming from the regular season 3-0 beatdown or the 16-1 advantage. But definitely give Boston, they got a puncher's chance in this series, and I can definitely see it swinging both ways because Boston is the better of the physical teams while Carolina is more of an all-around. Svechnikov gets that brushed aside there by Ullmark. Goes all the way around the horn now back to the defensive side where Jacob Slavin is going to flutter this one toward the net. It bounces off the kick plate, and Boston is able to tap this one off the boards and down the ice. Svechnikov, as there was offsides communication there, and now Boston can get this one down deeper to where Raanta is at. Try to misplay a little bit. Terrible Hall puts it out in front. Big hit on the other side for Carolina as it knocked the stick right out of the hands of Hall. And Grzelcyk now being held down a little bit. Nice defense there for Carolina. Try to get in there off the forecheck. Here comes Charlie Coyle. Gets it knocked away there by Shea. Here comes Nito Niederreiter as he chips this one just past Matt Grzelcyk. And Grzelcyk will get this one down to Coyle, who went all the way back. The 200-foot forward had some good game. Trent Frederick with a big hit there on Teravainen as he gets up quickly. And then Carolina quickly counters with a big hit. So that's what you love about playoff hockey. If you haven't got a chance to follow all that, a lot different from the regular season as far as any other playoff sport that there is. A lot more physicality. Expect everyone to finish their checks. And right on cue, Boston with a big one there. Teravainen gets destroyed as he goes around the left side boards. Slavin tried to go in there and help. And now Carolina will try to get this in deeper with Teravainen. Ullmark will have to come up there and play this. Physical battle here early between all these teams. Carolina and Boston giving it as good as they get. Charlie Coyle with the chip and chase in there. Now for Lazar. Lazar gets kind of worked over a little bit. Connor Clifton is part of there with the third line defense. He's stuck in behind the net. Somebody lost their stick. Natchez trying to get in there with Kasperi Kotkaniemi as the fourth line. Clifton knocks him off the puck. Picked back up by Marcus Foligno now. Foligno gets knocked down a little bit by Niederreiter. The fans are loving the physicality right now, and as your broadcaster, I am too. Not a lot of space on the ice right now. Puck goes up and out of play. 17 minutes left to go here in the first period. So we are going to get a penalty as the Carolina player had put the puck over the glass. That is a delay of game. That's going to be 2 minutes on Brady Shea, so they're going to miss their second line defense there as he just roofed this one just over there. He tried to get it to Natchez just a little bit. He put a little bit too much power on that saucer pass up in the air. So Boston has the first power play of the contest. The perfection line is out there right now. So Bergeron gets this to McAvoy. Slap shot there for Hampus Lindholm. Gets stopped a couple of times out in front of the Carolina defense as it got knocked away. Stahl Bergeron holding, trying to wait for a slot pass, intercepted there by Jordan Staal and put down the ice right now. The Boston power play 21.2, tied for 16th. The Carolina penalty kill was the best in the league at 88%. Pasta gets this to the right of Patrice Bergeron. Teravainen and Aho now. Aho, it's 2-on-1. Aho's by himself. Takes a shot 5-hole to Ullmark that gets cast aside on the right side, but it must have went up and out of play after it bounced off the pads. So the Boston power play is down to a minute 23. Again, everybody's lively here at PNC Arena. Now we see Rod Brind'Amour, his 4th season as Hurricanes coach. 17-17 playoff record, his 4th straight playoff appearance. He's one of the very best no-nonsense, no-frills coaches that we have in the league. They want them to play a certain style where they can play all around and kind of shut things down whenever they need to. Carolina can definitely do that in this series, but right now they got to be able to get out of this penalty kill right now. Charlie McAvoy, as Boston wins the face-off clean in their own end. McAvoy's going to leave this one to Pasta. Pasta, nice move off the right side. He gets it into Bergeron, and Bergeron, his pass gets lazily intercepted there by Jesper Fast and smoked down the ice there. So McAvoy will get this started once again as the Boston power play is about halfway over. 55 seconds left to go on the power play. 15:55 left to go in the contest. Pastrnak once again to Bergeron. Wears it right on side. Raanta has to make an acute glove save here quickly as they got some traffic out in front. Raanta is going to take his time. So again, we talked about it in the open that Freddie Anderson's not going to be available here within the first couple of games. And even when we talked about that in the capsule, I still gave the Carolina Hurricanes a 7-game series win over the Boston Bruins. This is big time for the Boston Bruins right now, not only on the power play. Try to make something happen right now in this series and steal a game on the road. Boston's definitely good enough to do it, but it's really questioning me. And I think they went with the right call here with Linus Ullmark, but between Ullmark and Swayman, it's possible that if Ullmark has a good run, he can play this all the way out. And if they go back to Swayman, it'll be a quick hook. Pastrnak back in there for Marchand off the left side, blocked there by Ian Cole, and moved all the way down there alertly by Carolina. And the NHL's best 88% on the penalty kill gets this one down the ice, and the Boston power play is now down to 15 seconds. Got about 15:15 left to go in the opening stanza here. Hampus Lindholm gets tripped. No call there, as this is Brendan Smith now, former Red Wing and Ranger, getting some time on the third line defense as the Boston power play ends, and Carolina gets back to full strength. Boston still with a clean entry there. Coyle, shot gets stopped out, it's loose! And the goal is down, and the ref is going to blow the whistle there because the net went off its moorings. I don't think it went across the blue paint. Raanta was very close as he was down and out, and I'm not going to sit here and say that someone intentionally knocked the net off here. It was a good clean entry there. It was Coyle with the blast, stopped there by Raanta. It went right through the 5-hole in the blue paint, and there was too much contact there as they stopped it there. I think it was Jake DeBrusk actually knocked it away from going in on accident as he tried to put it in there, but the net definitely went off its moorings here. And it's still 0-0. Very close opportunity for Boston as they were ending that power play. Connor Clifton now, third line defense, gets this in, picked back up by Aho. Aho gets punished around the boards. You're going to hear me say a lot of hits throughout the playoffs. That's what happens right now with the physicality. Brent Pesce and Jake DeBrusk. DeBrusk holding off the backhand. Trying to get this one with Coyle and Smith as the third line. Guys hovering about 40-45 points. They've been good here for Boston, but so is the third line for Carolina. Any mixture in that sense. Nice work for Lazar. They'll get all the way in. Couple shots on Raanta. Again, Ranta's down. All kinds of contact in front, and they were able to make the save, and the ref has blown the whistle. So Boston has absolutely come out and punched Carolina right in the mouth. And Antti Ranta's already had to make 9 saves as we're 14:22 left to go in the first period. So Boston has had the exact elixir that they've wanted as far as their success. Again, no goals early, but they wanted to come out and pressure the backup goaltender, and they're doing that. They're taking it to Carolina right now. Make no mistake about it. So Coach and Insights app from SAP, the Bruins were third in face-off win percentage. Carolina was fourth. Both these guys really good, around 54%. So Carolina gets this in their defensive zone, and they needed that. They got to alleviate some pressure and try to get some things going. It's been all Boston here early right now. Boston again, clean off the entry. Hall pushes him right in the boards. The stick goes flying on the right side, and one of the Carolina defenders has to elude that to be able to get that out, and they do. This is Tony DeAngelo now, part of the first line there with Jacob Slavin there on defense. It's played there by Ullmark. Picked back up by DeAngelo, worked around to Slavin as they switch sides. Slavin tried to get a backhand in there. Taylor Hall will hold off the backhand side and leave this one to Carlo. Carlo will try to get this in deeper. Boston and Carolina will play chase here as Eric Hall is still hounding the two-way forward off the forecheck. But Carolina will play this one in behind Avanti Ranta and get some wholesale line changes. They're down 9-1 on the shot board right now. Boston is absolutely playing well. Lindholm gets this one in on the other side of the boards. Brennan Smith trying to get to it is Connor Clifton and Charlie Coyle. Everyone else on the third line getting set up here. Curtis Lazar as well. Gets it stolen there by Niederreiter. Niederreiter is 1-on-2 though. Niederreiter still making some moves. Tries to get a shot there on Ullmark. It goes just left of the goal mouth. Bounced up in the air. And Carolina can get this one reset here as it's at the PNC logo. Big hit toward the middle of the ice as Niederreiter was laying the boom. And then he finishes the check on the left side boards to the very delight of the PNC Arena crowd. Niederreiter, once again, he will get this one in there deep. And Hampus Lindholm, former Anaheim Duck for the second and third round pick now, is on Boston. So Lindholm's full time really in the playoff starts right now with the Boston Bruins, as this is game one of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Bruins and the Hurricanes. Hurricanes with a better record. They got home ice in the first two games. Shot goes just to the left of Antti Ranta as we're down to 12:20 left to go in the first period. Shea. Big hit on the other side as Lazar took out Slavin there with a nice hip check. Stolen in the middle of it. This is Aho. Aho plays it to Svechnikov. Glove save there by Ullmark just to the right side. And Boston trying to get this one out. Intercepted there by Stahl. Picked back up by Boston and Lindholm as it's stuck a little bit in the neutral zone. Intercepted once again. Aho, quick shot there. Stopped by Ullmark off the glove save. Teravainen trying to get on this thing as it spins around. Picked back up by Boston in their own end. Carolina doing some forecheck work now. Aho, 37 goals, 44 assists. He led the team in both categories. Carolina finally got a couple shots here on Boston as we're down to 11:30 to go in the opening stanza. No stoppages here, and that's what I love. Trent Frederick got bounced there by Vincent Trocheck. Brendan Smith now getting worked over by Haula. It goes for the left side boards. Kept in there by Boston on the blue line. Broken stick there. And going to spin all the way around is Lindholm. Hall will pick this up. Former Buffalo Sabre now with the Boston Bruins for a second consecutive year. Hall tried to get to it. He couldn't. The broken stick. There's twigs all over the left face-off dot. Picked up by Boston and a nice glove save off of a Lindholm shot. It's stopped by Ranta. And 11:05 left to go in the first period. We finally get a break as the stoppage comes. 0-0 your score. It's been a very good contest so far. I'm going to be here all the way through it. And then we're going to give you the complete game story and play-by-play to follow at hopelesssportsguy.wordpress.com. Hope you stick around for the broadcast. Come right back. Really? I didn't see that one. I'll have to look.
Switch today and see all the ways you could save. Get ready for more. More tropical flavor.
It was a long show yesterday because we had the Stanley Cup Playoffs preview. Had all the capsules and all that stuff in there. It was a lot of fun. About 2 hours of content almost. So I was hoping to try to just send it out to everybody else as much as possible.
Get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 with any Galaxy trade-in. Any year, any condition. Only at AT&T. Unlimited cashback match.
On the YouTube side, I'm just putting the links in here for the story just in case on the other separate color cast. I'm going to go in there and interact with everybody as much as I can.
Back on ESPN
especially during the intermission.
Compelling matchups in this first round, including that one. And Tampa Bay, the Lightning, the back-to-back Cup champs.
Carolina made some pressure as we went into the break here, about 11 minutes left to go. Ranta is getting a start again, as we talked about. No Freddie Anderson for the first couple games. Shot goes just to the right of Ranta there as Boston has been pressuring now, right off the faceoff win. Tried to throw out a pass into the slot. There was Boston. It got intercepted by Carolina. And this is going to be an icing here on the Hurricanes. 10:46 left to go in the opening stanza. That one was iced there by Jacob Slavin. So everybody's taking their shot probably at the Stanley Cup Playoffs bracket challenges. It was open since yesterday. Again, we got all the capsules and everything else posted as we did a show there on Colorcast. About 2 hours of content there for you between all of 8 playoff breakdowns. And again, I predicted this series is going to go at least 7. That's even with Anderson, Ranta, whoever else you want to put in there. I think Anderson probably going to start by Game 3 as they get that extra day off after you change venues. Boston wins the draw. It gets taken there by a bunch of black jerseys in front for the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, the Hurricanes attacking right to left across the timeline. The Boston Bruins left to right. Carolina are in the home blacks and reds, and the Boston Bruins original 6 are in the yellows, whites, yellows, and blacks. This is the Boston Bruins right now with Charlie McAvoy. Clean entry. Gets a quick wrister right in the dome and the mask of Ranta. And he gloves and holds on there. As Boston will get another offensive zone draw here. With 10:16 left to go in the first period. So let's get you a little bit of the capsules here as we get a little bit of the stoppage as we talked about. So between the depth of Zeth Jarvis, Martin Necas, Jordan Stahl, Jesper Fast, and then Eric Hall, Charlie Coyle, Jake DeBrusk, and Craig Smith on the Boston side, all of these guys are hovering around 40 points. So if you're not really keeping your eyes on the perfection line, keep your eyes on the third and fourth lines of these two teams as well, because they absolutely can dominate and put points on the board in a hurry. But I imagine, as we talked about in the opening of it, Boston will probably have the better of the physicality side. Pasta trying to hold off the backhand. It bounces off the kick play. A little too hard there for Holla off the pass. Picked up there by Boston there as it spins around. Matt Grzelcyk gets hurt against the left side boards as he takes a cross check. Pasternak comes all the way back to alleviate the defensive pressure there. Boston is a plus 1,600 odds to win the Stanley Cup, and Carolina is a plus 1,100. So again, a little bit of advantage for Carolina as I would expect. Niederreiter trying to leave this one in. Pass goes to the blue line. A little offsides, and Carolina's going to have to reset, so they're just going to dump this thing a little bit deeper down the ice. Boston still has a 12-4 shot advantage. And good on ESPN this time as the Stanley Cup playoffs and everything else are getting away. They actually have shots on goal toward the left side of the boards, and they haven't moved. Because a lot of these games I've done on ESPN, they don't even tell you who has shots on goal advantage. So for any of the casual observers out there, you don't even really know what you're seeing. Lazar gets hit there by Martinook. Bruins still have this one in there deeper, and this is Holla. Holla tries to get this one around. Frederick will spin this. Now it goes back to Smith. So one of the forwards there is back on the blue line. One of the defensemen has to pinch up there. You always want to keep everybody between the 3 forwards, between the face-off dots and 2 on the blue line. Make sure you have good puck movement. You keep people spread, just like how basketball is. If you move the puck faster, just like in basketball, you move the ball faster, players can't keep up, and that's very important. You don't want to make mistakes, especially in the playoff time. You want to keep your guys with an open pass. You want to make sure that everyone else is in sync and has good movement there. Because you can be in big-time trouble. Usually in the playoffs especially, things slow down, and one mistake can change the whole stem of the game. It's unlike the regular season where you want to be a little more aggressive and come back and score. You want to be on your P's and Q's here. Teuvo Teravainen tries to get this one into Svechnikov. Trocheck also doing some work in there. Tip goes just to the left of Trocheck as he had a chance there on Ullmark. Spun behind the net now toward the left face-off circle. Trocheck getting worked over there by Lindholm. Still fighting his way through a 3-on-1, and Boston finally wins this thing as Charlie McAvoy can get this one down the ice. It bounces off of Trent Frederick. Picked back up there by Haula there momentarily. And now Martinook will get this one down the ice here for Carolina. It's in the neutral zone. Boston gets this one in deep. They're going to get some wholesale line changes here. Trocheck is going to leave this one for Jacob Slavin, one of the best lockdown defenders that we have in the NHL right now. Carolina taking a long time behind that cage of Ronta before they get everything else settled. Puck almost hit the referee. Stahl lost it momentarily. Here comes Boston. Nice pass ahead for Marchand. Ronta down off the left side and held off of the wrist shot there as DeBrusk also got a piece of that from a Marchand pass. And Boston's shot advantage has ballooned 13-1 right now as we get an immediate timeout. We are late in the second period, just a little bit halfway over, about 7:24 left, scoreless here. Boston's had the better chances. Come right back as we're in the middle of the first period action. Hey, I appreciate you being in here, man. Are you following any of the Stanley Cup teams? Who are you predicting to be able to make it all the way through? Or who do you think is going to win a couple rounds? Or who should I be surprised to watch and all that stuff? I want to get everyone else's opinions. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know. I'll be happy to interact with you, especially during the break and all that stuff.
Life gets busy, so when I find something I like, I stick with it. Like the Zenith Polo. It's perfect polo for any occasion. It's perfect for dressing up. It's perfect for around with the boys. And it's perfect for being deep in thought. Basically, it's perfect for anything, which is why it's the only shirt in my closet. Actually, to get some more.
Probably going to get one more broadcast in tomorrow and then take a break for Wednesday because it's been just a lot of hockey stuff over the last few days. But maybe another early game Tuesday. If Cooper hops on here, probably get a Calgary Dallas game as well. I know sometimes he does a lot of Calgary stuff, so we'll be looking forward to that. So Emily Kaplan's giving a live report here on Frederik Andersen, and then Carolina was coming out and saying in the organization that they wanted him to play. He got injured in that Colorado series, and he said he wasn't ready. So I think that's probably good on Freddie Andersen, as we got the live report there from Emily Kaplan. He said he wasn't ready to go, even though Carolina wanted him to play. If he's not ready to go, you have to really hope on the rest of your back and be able to do something. Carolina is good enough to be able to get through a couple games, but they don't want to blow like the first two just in case, Andersen doesn't come back then, because then they're really going to be in a hole. So I understand the pressure having him play, but if he's not there and you exacerbate an injury, it's going to get a lot worse. Puck is loose in the crease. Carolina thinks that they've scored. I don't know about all that stuff. There's so much contact and bodies in front of the net. The sticks are in the air for Carolina, but I was absolutely sure that the refs would blow the whistle. I don't know what the Zebras can actually see. Your broadcaster couldn't see. It was just a massive humanity inside of the net. ESPN coverage are going to take a look at this. This was Ullmark. Carlo was in a piece of it. Bergeron was in a piece of it. Pushed into the net was Ullmark all wholeheartedly. Again, they're looking toward the blue side of the paint now to see if this went through. Ullmark made a left glove pad save there, a pad save and a glove save, and he was wholeheartedly pushing the net. This is probably going to get blown off. Yeah, goalie interference. So, again, there was no chance I thought of that even going in there. I'd be shocked if they called that there for Carolina. There'd be a mutiny for Boston Bruins fans. Ullmark had no opportunity in that blue paint as he was just getting pushed over. There was a massive humanity everywhere. So again, everyone's going to say maybe controversial no goal call. This is one of those ones early, if you're doing a story, you kind of brush that detail aside. I don't think anyone is going to put this any other way other than no goal. So he's saying, honestly, don't be surprised if the Lightning make it back to the finals, partly because I'm a biased fan, but partly because they were 3 seed last year and upset some teams to win it all. They have playoff experience, and that'll be the advantage of them. You know what, man? When I talked about in the Maple Leafs part of it, in the Lightning, I said the Lightning would win that series in 6. I do think Tampa Bay, talking about this, as good as they are with Andrei Vasilevsky, right? as good as they are, Tampa Bay doesn't need to do anything more than what they've already done. And that's the same thing I said about the Colorado Avalanche. If you keep to your same statistical averages and just play the way that you've played all the way through, that is a nice luxury. So that means that your team is already good enough. If they're just doing and keeping on with what they're already doing, they're going to be in a good situation. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs on that side can definitely score, probably even more so than the Tampa Bay Lightning. So Toronto would have to have a lot of things go right for them, and Andrei Vasilevsky would have to not probably have the same kind of averages, but that should be a very good series right now, as that's just getting underway as well. Pastrnak spins this one around. Haula try to get this momentarily between the sticks of Slavin. He gets knocked down, and Nito Niederreiter now holds. Niederreiter leaves this for Aho now. Aho holding off the backhand side. Tries to get this in around Lindholm. He gets to it first. Teravainen with the interception. Put around the blue line. Slavin tried to leave that one in there for Pesce. And now it gets picked back up there by Teravainen. Centered out in front. Aho gets spilled down. And stuck around the left side boards of the face-off. Dr. Teravainen still spun around the cage. Shot there. Goes all the way around. Gets picked up back by Slavin. Now Tony DeAngelo gets this one off of a Vincent Trocheck line change. DeAngelo plays this out in front to Teravainen, and now a delayed penalty is going to be called against the Boston Bruins. So now Carolina will get their first opportunity of the power play, as the fans love it right now. And I will say this, if Carolina wins this game, you get a chance to see one of the best salutes every time the game actually ends, because they throw their sticks in the air and they have the storm surge. That's one of the best traditions that you have right now. Again, Carolina, maybe they'll say, as Eric Holda has called 2 minutes for holding there, that it doesn't really have all the tradition and things like that. Carolina had won the Cup a long time ago. I remember when the Red Wings took them out several years ago in 2002, but Carolina is a really good team. Both of these teams, Boston and Carolina, Boston's been giving them the business in the playoffs during the regular season. Carolina returned the whole favor. They can say, we hate these guys. Let's outscore them 16-1. But Boston trying to advance out of the second round. Carolina trying to advance out of the second round for the first time in a long time. And one of these teams will be going home after the 7-game series. So now we get the first look at the Carolina power play. It's down to 5:40 left to go here in the first period as we get a garbage aerial view from the ESPN side of things. Slavin now has it toward the left face-off as he gets a pass in there for Aho on the left wing side. Gets dumped around the boards. Try to get picked up there by Teravainen. Now this is DeAngelo. Slavin tries to get this in deep, and that was just a careless backhand pass. Picked back up there now by Tony DeAngelo. Hopefully they get back and change this as we're getting some looks of the line changes there. Teravainen, Nito Niederreiter. Now we get back to the normal look at it. Teravainen now on the left side boards. They're near where Ullmark will be now behind the cage. This is Kasperi Kotkaniemi. Picked up over from the Montreal Canadiens. Slap shot gets blocked off of the Carolina's own players and goes up and out of play. So it's going to be a neutral zone face-off. Carolina's power play is down to 52 seconds. 4:59 left to go in the first period. Scoreless right now. So for the Boston Bruins, when we're looking at their opening lineup, and you're able to have Eric Haula, and again, I do think he is a very good second-line centerman. He's a very good two-way forward. He can win a lot of draws. To have Hall and Pastrnak mixed in there with that second line at times, when they want to do that, that's a luxury there for Bruce Cassidy. All kinds of talent here on both sides. It surprised me a little bit that Carolina got punched in the mouth as much as they did by Boston, but that was exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to pressure Ronto. They got a good start. But Carolina has always had a lot of bend but don't break, and they don't really give up a lot, and they're able to survive a little surge from the Bruins and get that one down. So Carolina's power play has absolutely done nothing right now, as it's down to 15 seconds. About 4:15 left to go in the contest. John Andre with you from Game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. Niederreiter centered up pass in front to Aho, got picked off, and Carolina's power play down to the last piece of it, as now Boston goes to full strength. Curtis Lazar, now part of the penalty kill, probably wants to get a change, try to get a shot there to Ronta, gets stuck in between the Carolina skates, and now dumped down the ice. Ullmark will bounce this one off the kick plate into the neutral zone now for Boston. Haula trying to get on this one. Nice check there. Haula, I've been saying that a few times, laying the physical body there. Picked up off of the glove there by Shea. Shea turning on the Jets there with Martinook. Shane Martinook trying to get the puck off of Matt Grzelcyk. They do momentarily. Try to leave a pass out there to Aho toward the blue line side. Aho fought his way through to keep that alive on the blue line side, and Ullmark just took and gloved it, and we get a stoppage here with 3:33 left to go in the first period. Boston has a 14-5 shot advantage, but we're still scoreless. As we're getting near the end of one, come right back. So we got a break here. Let me make sure I go on the YouTube side of things, see if we can actually see. If we can actually see anything going on here.
Not your family. Zevo is made with essential oils, which attack bugs' biological systems. Get rid of the bugs, plus is safer use around people and pets. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
This may sound strange, but you've been here before. You were here when this wrench was turned, and when this line was drawn. Oh, and when this stitch was sewn. Because you inspired Alexis Diaz to be, well, more you. So thank you. We hope you like your work.
Welcome back with Boston Bruins coach Bruce Cassidy. Bruce, what has allowed your team to control the shot share so far?
I think we've done a good job on the forecheck. We've got some pucks back. We've managed it well coming out of our end and through the neutral zone. So I think you got to be real careful with Carolina. They're a quick strike team, so if you play behind them, it increases your chances of getting pucks back and playing the winner.
Are there any adjustments you'd like to see on your power play?
I thought our power play was good. Honestly, we created a few good looks. We turned it over on the entry on the kick out there a couple times, so we're looking to see what's the best option there for Bergie. But at the end of the day, we got some action to the net, and I had one almost go in, so I didn't.
So now that the YouTube side is all set up here, I can check the chance to track any comments here. We're 3:30 left to go in the first period. We were scoreless between Boston and Carolina. It's been a lively first period, mostly dominated by Boston here. Shot stopped there by Ullmark on the left side pad as Stahl got tripped, and we have another penalty call against the Boston Bruins. Patrice Bergeron is going over to the referee. He's livid, and now we have a crowd on the left face-off dot of the offensive zone here for Carolina. This was Marchand, Bergeron, DeBrusk, and everybody else were trying to pound on Brady Shea as we get a penalty called. So we're going to try to see what this is actually going to be. I'm going to pull up the ESPN box score as well so we can follow that along. So 2-minute minor for tripping against the Boston Bruins. This is going to go against Patrice Bergeron, so no wonder why he was a little bit upset. So when the shot got saved there by Ullmark, yeah, Bergeron got a piece of Stahl off the back skate. And I'm not going to sit here and say that was a dive, but that was one of those things where I think Stahl probably expertly drew the penalty there. He felt that stick hit the back skate probably pretty hard there. And Aho wins the draw here for Carolina. And now they have a second power play opportunity. So 2-1 advantage for Carolina in that regard. But Boston was able to get something going on their power play. Well, they didn't score. Carolina has been utterly silent on their first. Going to try to have something happen. They had no shots on their first power play attempt. Tony DeAngelo now. Slavin gets smoked and then gets a return hit. Back on the other side, you got to love those double doinks there. Back to Teuvo Teravainen. Teravainen still waiting to try to get in there. Now they do. Carolina has this 3-on-2 on the other side with the left face-off dot. Picked him toward the blue line. Niederreiter with the wrist shot stopped there by Ullmark. So Carolina finally gets their first shot on the power play. It took 2:37 in the first period for that to actually happen. So Tuesday, it might be the game I'm actually here with you too at 7, the early game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. Should be back again tomorrow, and then it'll be Capitals Panthers at 7:30, and then the late games in the Western Conference. Nashville, Colorado, and Dallas and Calgary Flames should be really good on the west side as well. This is opening night of the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. Game 1 between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina on their second power play. All the way around, Niederreiter tries to get this from Teravainen. It goes just toward the right of Allmark and up and out of play. So the Carolina power play is still $1:05 left to go here in the first period as Rod Brandamore looks on. Carolina's probably had the better of the end of the latter half, I would say, of the first period right now. Boston came out, punched Carolina right in the mouth, got a ton of shots on goal, pressured Ron to left and right. Kasperi Kotkaniemi is on the draw here, and Lazar wins this one clean. So the fourth liners get that job done there. Niederreiter will bounce this one off the kick plate now with Jarvis holding there. Teravainen. Kotkaniemi now waiting in toward the slot side. Jacob Slavin gets it out in front, goes just to the left of Allmark off the kick plate. Carolina will reset this once again here. Slavin back at the blue line. Pesce shot blocked up. Loose out in front. I think it might just went to just wide of the left post of Allmark. Carolina's power play now down to 30 seconds. About $1:45 left to go in the first period. John out here with you from PNC Arena, Raleigh, North Carolina. We're scoreless here after one. Slavin tried to play that one to Teravainen. It's turned over momentarily, picked up by Carolina, and they'll reset once again in their defensive end. Jacob Slavin has been out there for a long time right now, still trying to get in by himself. He's getting a little tired here. Here comes Natchez. Tried to play this one out front to Niederreiter. Back out in front, stopped there by Allmark once. Bodies everywhere as it got stopped there by Allmark. Nice puck movement. Kotkaniemi gets blocked off by a Bruin, and Boston returns to full strength. That was dangerous there for Carolina. Probably their best opportunity to score came late with 1:10 left to go in the first period. But nothing. It was a much better power play opportunity. And attempt number 2 here for Carolina. Niederreiter was right there out in front, and Jarvis just missiled it to the left of Allmark there. He had an open look to shoot at as Brandon Carlo played it well in front of the net. He stopped about as much of the blue paint in the puck that he could to cut it off, so Allmark only had to stay in the same position to make the save, and he get a F me on the other side here for Natchez as he just missed the net. He knew that was a close opportunity. Stahl is on the draw right now for Carolina. It looks like Halla is going to get bumped out. This one's going to go to Pasta. So it's going to be Stahl and Pasta. Stahl wins this one clean. Brent Pesce working his way on the left side. Tries to get it across the goal mouth there, and Allmark held his pads against the post, and he made the save there with $1:03 left to go in the first period. 0-0 still your score. John on here with you from Raleigh, North Carolina at PNC Arena. It's the opening round of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Linus Ullmark against the Hurricanes not been very good. 0-2-1 with 487 goals against and an .885 save percentage. Worst against any team in the league right now. Reset all that though. This is the playoffs. He's been excellent toward the end of the year, and that's why he's gotten the start over Jeremy Swayman. Not that Swayman's been bad, but the 23-year-old probably going to be seeing a little bit of stars in his first playoff game. And you don't want to do that. You want to go with the veteran, even though for the Buffalo Sabres, Ullmark has done very, very well for Boston, as both netminders split 41 games in their appearance of the 82-game season. So Tampa Bay and Toronto are scoreless. I'll keep that abreast. Intercepted there by Natchez there momentarily. He shot it just to the left of Ullmark, but I'll keep these other scores abreast as we go along throughout the broadcast. Coyle trying to get this one deep there for Connor Clifton. Connor Clifton's just going to loft this thing. It goes back in toward the Carolina defensive zone, and they're going to reset this one more time. Sebastian Aho went all the way back in his own end. Boston might have something here, although it's a 3-on-1. Pasternak with the reverse hit there as both players went down. Pasternak trying to get back in on this thing as well, but Carolina will get it, but they're going to run out of time before they can get an opportunity here. We're scoreless here after one between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Come right back, enjoy the intermission. We're going to call the second period action. If there's anyone on the Colorcast side or the YouTube side, I'll interact with you during the intermission. But when we come back, we're going to call the second period of action officially in this Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Bruins and the Hurricanes. We're scoreless after one. What's going on, man? What's going on, Zach? How you doing? Scoreless after one here between the Boston Bruins and the Hurricanes. Bruins came right out and punched Hurricanes right in the mouth as far as shots on goal and opportunities. Ronta, I'm not going to say he looked a little shaky, but there was one of those times where the puck bounced out across the goal mouth a few times. Made a couple big saves there to keep this scoreless. Carolina was probably better in the latter half of that period, but that's where we are right now, still scoreless. Carolina 2 power play opportunities, Boston Bruins with 1.
And I walk out and my car is dented.
Geico does offer 24/7 claim service with personalised attention from an assigned team.
24/7, that's a lot of attention.
They're not actually...
Well, Zach, while you're in here, I'm going to ask if you're following Stanley Cup or anything else like that. I'm just left.
As it turns out, I'm an introvert.
I actually think I'm an introvert.
If you're following any of the other stuff going on,
I don't think that's right.
what teams do you like in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Are you rooting for anybody? Who do you think is going to make a deep run? Players you like? Anything else you look for? Throw that in the comments section. We can discuss.
So we're going to tip you for delivering your own pizza to yourself. Get a $3 tip just for ordering carryout online, only at Dumpins.
It's the Mother's Day sale with 30% off everything. And this is how mom shines. At Zales, the diamond store.
Eliminating breaks is as easy as combing your hair. With just for men Easy Comb in color. Just twist and comb. Getting natural looking results
Let's get this meeting started.
has never been easier. Most men trust just for men.
5-hour energy. Because spring means getting stuff done. Lots of stuff. You gotta cut stuff, pour stuff, fun stuff. You're gonna need some energy. Lots of energy. 5-hour energy for every weekend to do this. No Liberty Mutual customizing your car
I'm going to get the ESPN box score uploaded here. Put this on here while I'm waiting.
Scarf? Wow. First time. Check out this backpack I'm making Marco. Oh yeah? Well, check out this tux. Oh nice, that'll go perfect with these. Dude, those are so fire. Only pay for what you need.
Oh.
What if you were a gigantic snack food maker and you had to wrestle a massively complex supply chain to satisfy cravings from Tokyo to Toledo? So you partner with IBM Consulting to bring together data and workflows so that every driver and merchandiser can serve up jalapeno, sesame, and chocolate.
So the 3 penalties that were called, it was Boston on the first for a Brady Shea delay of game as it got shot over the glass 3 minutes in the first, and then Carolina had a couple chances the power play. They were called 2 minutes for holding the stick for Andrei Svechnikov and Patrice Bergeron 2 minutes for tripping Jordan Staal. I thought that was just expertly drawn there by Staal, as he knew the stick hit hard on the back end of the skate and able to get the job done there. As we're in the intermission between Carolina and Boston, I'm going to take a couple minutes here and flip over as the Lightning and the Maple Leafs are underway. Again, we're not going to be doing full broadcast and play-by-play of that game, but while we're waiting, might as well get a chance to see any of the other action going on right now. This might be one of those ones that I have to go back and make sure that it's all available here. But if I can't get the actual link to it, there it goes. We're going to give this a couple minutes here, and then I'm going to go back in there. Kerfoot just hit the post here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're showing on the left side the huge crowd in Toronto that's watching this game right now. Tampa Bay is on a 5-minute power play. So let's take a look and see what happened with there. Do we got a game misconduct? I know that's what a 5-minute will be, but was somebody kicked out is the question. So Kyle Clifford got a 10-minute misconduct. He's gone for the rest of the game. He got boarding for Ross Colton. So Kyle Clifford is not going to return for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that is a huge blow here. And again, I will say it like this. This isn't one of the biggest names, but when you have depth and issues like that, let's say this game goes into an overtime or a second overtime. That is another forward, another defender that would have to come in with the absence of one of your players, and that's going to be a huge problem here. So I'm going to stick here with you through this power play, and then we're going to flip back over at least, because I know we got a few minutes here for the intermission. Usually the NHL intermissions go a little bit longer. So Tampa Bay still got 3:15 left to go on their power play. And we'll see if Toronto is feeling any kind of just nerves or anything else right now. Again, they probably have a chance to settle in, as this game is almost halfway through the first period right now. But not often do you see a misconduct here early. Intercepted here. This is Toronto. Mitch Marner tried to play this out in front. Kerfoot, and it's saved off the back of the big cat by Andrei Vasilevsky. Tampa Bay still now 2:40 left to go on this power play right now. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm in the intermission between Carolina and Boston, so we're watching part of this Toronto game. It's a 2-on-2 developing here. Mikheyev just hit the left side of the bar. So Toronto's had a couple chances short-handed here, as Tampa Bay's looking a little bit discombobulated on their 5-minute major. So Mikhail Sergachev going back on his own side. Sergachev's going to play this back to his defensive partner. Going to get things going again. Colton holding off the left side boards. Double team there by Toronto and punished. Toronto's looked very, very good on this penalty kill right now, as Andre Kasha gets a change. Still Sergachev now. Corey Perry. He's on the second line power play right now. So Tampa Bay, this is interesting as far as not seeing a lot of Stamkos, Kucherov. David Kampf gets this in deep. Sergachev holding. And now this is Jack Campbell who rattled this around the boards. It was kept in there by Tampa. Again, Tampa had a 5-minute power play as Kyle Clifford got a game misconduct. He will not be returning here for Toronto Maple Leafs. So Tampa's power play has no shots. And it was a 5-minute major. Now it's down to 1:10. Everybody told me in this series, I wasn't one of them, we did all the capsules, that Toronto's got no chance in this series. I said it would at least go 6, maybe with the edge of Andrei Vasilevsky. Tampa Bay can pull out ahead. But Toronto looks like a much different team. Calgary looks like a much different team. And it looks to be that way right now. You're holding Tampa Bay shotless on a 5-minute major? Come on now. Campbell stops a bad angle shot there from Steven Stamkos. Stamkos got some blood on his jersey. We'll be right back.
Here's a look at some of the plays by Toronto just inside their blue line. It shows their confidence. They're able to stand up, prevent the zone entry. And what do from there? They turn on a dime, they transition, and they make shotgun rushes. Even when they're on the penalty kill here, they've got a 3-on-2 and then this 2-on-1. Good back pressure from Tampa Bay, from Braden Point in that last play.
Anthem to Kucherov. Tampa Bay now with Kerfoot. And Kerfoot's been on the ice a lot.
Noticeable, too.
Very noticeable is 15. He'll change now. How long can it draw some Matthews, because how this third is shaken out? That almost was a breakaway chance from Kucherov from Henman. Big body play by Muzzin. David Camp, 64, has been all over the ice as well. But here comes Kucherov. In. What a defensive play by Brody. And a penalty coming up on Kucherov. He draws Jack Brady. Brody after he broke up the pass. And Toronto is going to go on a power play.
Well, the timing of this couldn't be better for Toronto. You got Kucherov showing his frustration. He certainly wears his emotion on his sleeve. But now, when we come back, we're going to get a look at the #1 power play in the NHL.
Alright, so we were just under the intermission. We just came back here. Boston and Carolina, that was still going on. I was taking a live look. I wasn't doing the full commentary because I'm going to save my voice for a game that I'm not actually doing. But the Toronto Maple Leafs had a 5-minute penalty to kill because Kyle Clifford got a 10-minute major misconduct. He's not going to be returning here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that will pressure some things, especially going into an overtime or anything else late again, whether that's a forward, defenseman, or anything else you want to talk about. That's one less body you have as things get a little bit deeper. So as we go along, I'm going to do this because when we get back and start covering Carolina and Boston, we'll give you that full game again. I'm going to have that right up and all that stuff on the website as I posted it in the comments section. But as we go along throughout the broadcast, I will keep you abreast of some of the other scoring situations. They just showed on the ESPN side of things, Jussi Saros is out for the first 2 games against the Colorado Avalanche. So we already talked about, and I did in the capsules, if Saros isn't available here, they're showing Clifford. Oh my goodness. That was a big time hit by Clifford on Colton. Now I actually saw that he rocked his face right into the boards as he was turned. So I could definitely see why that was a misconduct there. So that was something off of the break. I finally got a chance to look at that now. That was a monster shot there that he just took. We were just flipping over here. I'm going to be waiting until we get to the Boston and Carolina game again as we get back into the second period. But I'll flip over here when I can. But I'll keep you abreast of the situations and scoring for all these games right now. And then tomorrow we're probably going to be doing another early game for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think I'm probably eyeing the Penguins and the Rangers, but if there's anyone else that wants to cover that, I'll definitely switch over with anybody else. Doesn't matter. I'll cover any of the games. So now we got the live look in, as again, I'm still with you here for the Bruins and the Hurricanes. You got a live look in now for Toronto and Tampa Bay as we're under the intermission. So ESPN's doing their due diligence on both sides. So Toronto is on the power play now, just after killing the 5-minute. Toronto really needs to get this first game. Again, I know they're at Scotiabank, they're at home ice. They really want to just prove to Tampa the first round's not going to be like everything else. And I really believe that they can do it. As much as I said Tampa Bay is going to win this 1-6, Toronto's just as good. Their power play is better than anybody, even Tampa Bay's. I think it's the best power play in the league. I understand the demons and everything else like that, but every time I watched Toronto, every time I watched Calgary, things got to be different at some point. This team is very, very good.
You can watch that game in its entirety over on ESPN2 right now. Meanwhile, the Blues and the Wild from St. Paul tonight, 9:30 Eastern on ESPN. Flower on the right, Marc-Andre Fleury going to work. Scoreless after 1 in Raleigh. Hurricanes and Bruins. You're watching Alexis first in the Mission Report.
Who's it going to be?
Yes, it's all Maggie.
Plan today. Feel comfortable about tomorrow. Mass Mutual.
For me, one of the best things about life is that we keep moving forward. We discover exciting new technologies, redefine who we are and how we want to lead our lives. Basically, we choose what we want our future to look like. So what's yours going to be?
It's still an Eat Fresh refresh. And Subway's refreshing everything. Like new honey mustard rotisserie style chicken. It's sweet, it's tangy, it's tender, it never misses.
You could say it's Steph Curry a front loader.
You could, but I'm not gonna. Subway keeps refreshing and refreshing and refreshing.
I've traveled every road in this dear land. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere.
Chicken meal? That's icky birdie bits processed into powder. It's time for Fresh Pet. Wholesome ingredients with nothing to hide. Fresh Pet.
Everything is up for grabs. The question is, will you take it? Take control. Take flight. Take the edge out. Take the endpoints. It's playoffs time. And greatness is for the taking.
My fellow Xfinity customers, hi Tim. The biggest week in entertainment is almost here. Watchathon Week, presented by Xfinity Rewards, with free access to Stranger Things from Netflix, The Boys from Prime Video, HBO Max, Stars, and Peacock. Just say Watchathon into your voice remote and get ready to watch. I love you. I love you all. 32 million.
I've been a decoy alone my life. Music serves me. You're my brother. I love you. Have I ever got you anything that could get you out of it? No. Stop! What do you want? Just gonna borrow.
Does your wife know you're our banks?
I'm gonna get you back home, little brother. I'm gonna get everybody home.
Ambulance. Watch now.
Playoffs are underway. A scoreless first period between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes here in Raleigh. Time for tonight's game recap. Brought to you by Progressive. Here's Ray Ferraro.
John, we started the night talking about two goaltenders making their playoff debuts. Ronto was tested often, early, and dangerously, and he held on with some help from Brendan Smith to keep one off the goal line. Here's one of his better stops, a quick release from Patrice Bergeron. At the other end of the ice, it's Linus Ullmark. The Canes did a lot of their work off the turnover. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, a terrific effort. Ullmark patient, stays up long enough to deflect this up over the net. But Seth Jarvis steals the puck. Sebastian Aho taps him. Ullmark turns that away too. 14-11 were the shots. It's 0-0, and here we go.
You're watching the Stanley Cup Playoffs on ESPN, presented by Geico. 22 hits in that first period for the Canes. 5 of those from Jordan Martinoff. And the second period is underway.
So the second period is now underway as Brett Pesce has it toward the left face-off dot and immediately the wristed and saved there by Linus Ullmark with 19:53 left to go in the second period as we're just underway here in the second stanza. So this has been a really good contest so far between two really good teams. If you follow some of the stuff in the regular season, you would know that the Carolina Hurricanes absolutely decapitated the Bruins, outscoring them 16-1 in 3 games. And we got a stoppage and a broken stick on the ice, all within about a span of 2 seconds there, but absolutely destroyed them in the first 3 games of the regular season. But Boston had the better playoff success against Carolina, getting 2 times where they've knocked out in the last couple of years Carolina in the second round. Both teams looking to advance past the second round. Obviously, that's not going to happen right now because one of these teams is going to get knocked out after the 7-game series is done. Shot goes just to the right of Ullmark, and Carolina gets offensive possession again. But it's going to be interesting to see. And again, they're saying Frederik Andersen's probably not going to play the first couple games in this series. And for the Avalanche and Predators, that's going to be getting going on tomorrow. Yusei Saros is going to be out for the first couple games for Nashville. So he's had all sorts of action as far as he's one of those goalies that's played the most games. Niederreiter gets his shot blocked there by a host of Boston defenders, picked it back up toward the left faceoff dot. It gets blocked there by Boston, and Pesce now holding, looking for a deflection there with Aho and Brandon Carlo, and it goes just wide and up and on plate. So 14 shots still for Boston, 10 now for Carolina as they've started to make a little bit of run. Still tonight is a couple Western Conference first rounders between the Blues and the Wild, and the Kings and the Oilers. Then tomorrow, probably the game that I have with you between the Penguins and Rangers, and then the Capitals and Panthers is a half hour after that at 7:30. So hope you enjoy that. I'm going to try to make sure I get a couple games early here throughout the week, and then try to spread that around, maybe an off day, spend some time with the fiance, and then come back in there, just because You got to be able to not burn myself out completely after having all those capsules and a couple games covered. But we'll see how that goes. Definitely have a few games for you this week as far as the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's for sure. But first, we got to finish this one here tonight between Boston and Carolina. It's been a lot of fun here to do this game with you guys, and I've been really looking forward to the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. So, winner between the Panthers and Capitals is going to play the Maple Leafs or the Lightning, and the winner between the Hurricanes and Bruins is going to go on and face the Rangers or Penguins. So, could be some good second-round series here, and all sorts of intrigue between Tampa Bay and Toronto right now. Once the score gets updated there, I'm going to give that to you as well. It's scoreless with 1:40 left to go in the first. That's on ESPN2 or CBC right now if you want to watch that one as well. So McAvoy gets this one back in there from the neutral zone. It goes down to Boston and Taylor Hall. Hall trying to hold it up the left side. Turn around the Jets, try to play it out in front of Ranta. Picks it back up. And now Carolina and Slavin and D'Angelo. D'Angelo knocks one of the Boston players down. Gets brutalized on the left side boards. And Boston will get this one deeper there. Ranta makes a glove save with the paddle there. Plays this one back out to the neutral zone as one of the forwards there. And Olmark goes to Clifton now behind the cage. Clifton, nice look-ahead pass, but nice defense there by Carolina to intercept there. You want these two-way forwards to play as such, and Rod Brind'Amour won't have you on the ice if you don't do that. Intercepted there now by Carolina once again. They're looking to make something happen off of a one-on-one. Aho, wrist shot goes wide and up and out of play. So it is 18:05 left to go in the second stanza. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have just scored 1-0 on the Tampa Bay Lightning. So having to kill a 5-minute major, not having Kyle Clifford getting a 10-minute misconduct for boarding there off Ross Colton, getting a big piece of that. Toronto has drawn first blood with 1:15 left to go in the first period. So that's going to be going on intermission. So anyone else that flips over from Toronto, Tampa Bay, I'd appreciate that too. You got 18:05 left to go in this right now. In the second stanza, scoreless between Boston and Carolina. Puck is dumped down there by Carolina. They're trying to work in the offensive zone. They get to it first with Teuvo Teravainen. He's trying to do some work there with Aho. Played out in front of Pesce on the left side of the blue line. Around for Aho and Jarvis. Jarvis trying to get a piece of this, and now it goes back to Teravainen. Jarvis behind the net needs some help there, but Boston is able to get to this one first as it goes just a little bit toward the left side boards. Trocheck trying to stop this thing from going across the blue line. And Boston will get this one now with Craig Smith, former Nashville Predator. Smith still holding expertly around the left side boards. And Carolina will get this one down there with Lindholm. Hampus Lindholm now will play this to his other defensive partner, Charlie McAvoy. And they're going to switch sides right now. McAvoy, nice move ahead. No sec. Extra pass there for Lazar. Stopped there by Ranta off the wrister. And now we're going to be ending the first period. Between the other game, Toronto is up 1-0 on Tampa Bay at the end of one. 16:55 left to go in this contest at PNC Arena in the second period. John out here with you for the Eastern Conference quarterfinal between the Boston Bruins and Carolina Hurricanes, and we're scoreless. Boston attempted to take some pressure immediately and put a lot of pressure on Ranta in the opening of the first, had a lot of shots. That's why they have a 16-10 shot advantage. But Carolina, as it's gone along, has kind of stemmed the tide a little bit and turned things more toward their favor as the puck goes up and on a play of a neutral zone faceoff with 16:39 left to go in the second period. Shot gets stopped there from Lazar and Ranta. And Ray Ferraro is talking about this again. He's one of the best in the business now, having help from the TSN side, ESPN. He's saying Ranta's been a little suspect with his rebound control, and yes, he has. But shaky or not, they don't pay you they pay you to stop the puck. It doesn't have to always be practical. Face-off won there by Aho, picked over there by Pesce and Slavin as it was worked around. The Slavin shot goes wide. Now Slavin gets this back in there deep, and Olmark will play this one to Matt Grzelcyk. He is the best plus-minus defender that Boston has right now. Part of the perfection line. This is Brad Marchand and the Jake DeBrusk, and it goes in deep to Tony DeAngelo, holding off the backhand side. Trying to get it to Slavin. It was intercepted and picked back up by Marchand. Marchand out to Grzelcyk, and Grzelcyk can't keep this one in the zone. Marchand had 80 points in the season, which still led the team. He's usually hovering around 100, but again, you take 80 points all day long. He's been just as good as he's always been. DeAngelo now from Slavin. Try to get this one to Jesper Fast. Picked back up there by Lindholm. Lindholm being hounded. Now this one goes to Hall and Pasternak joining on the other side. Hall trying to get in on the right. Tips it to Pasternak right out front. Right to Ronta, and he holds the post and puts the glove save in there just before it could cross the line. So he was right on edge of where he was supposed to be. Pasta tried to just put that one short on the left side, as it was nice movement there for Hall as he chipped it with the stick ahead to David Pasternak, and Ronta alertly made that save on the left side post to keep this game scoreless. So Ronta, for all the talks about as good as Freddie Anderson has been, as Pasta's got 40 goals in the season, second most in his career, he's been good right now when he needed to be, and for the most part, Boston has had the better edge of the play throughout the contest. This is McAvoy now. Marchand gets his shot deflected. It's picked back up a couple times, stopped there by Taylor Hall off of Ronta feed there, and then now it goes down the ice. So Ronta was able to kick that one away from Hall. Hall now back there with Aho. Aho, first one to get to this, stolen there by Hampus Lindholm. Pasternak had to get turned around. Niederreiter gets his shot blocked. Another one for Jarvis gets pinballed wide. And Aho now holding off the backhand side of things. Aho gets knocked down. Svechnikov, beautiful drag through off the toe drag, and Olmark held this one with the glove. And we got some fisticuffs toward the end there with Jarvis and Svechnikov trying to join in there with McAvoy and Coyle and Lindholm, but nothing doing. Still 18 shots on goal for the Boston Bruins, 10 for the Carolina Hurricanes. Throws to the feet did Svechnikov of Olmark, but Olmark alertly got the paddle down and got a glove on it, and that was a toe drag between the legs there for Svechnikov to be able to get that pass in through the goal mouth, but Boston alertly held that blue paint and kept it out. So 14:56 left to go here in the second period. We are still scoreless. Lindholm gets this one knocked away as he bounced it away there from Teravainen. Stop it going across the blue paint. Brandon Carlo needs some help. Boston still having problems trying to get this one out. Vincent Trocheck, former Florida Panther, still doing some work, holding off the backhand, keeping it alive. Slot pass and shot. Stop there from Svechnikov. Saved by Olmark. And that was a big-time opportunity as Svechnikov and Teravainen combined. And Olmark made a huge save right in the slot. Again, that was a shot that was a little bit just, centered. It didn't have a lot of sauce on it as far as a corner, but still with the speed and the traffic in front, that was some good work there by Teravainen to be able to get that out in front, and Olmark made a big save there. So Bruce Cassidy went with Olmark over Jeremy Swayman. Fifth game where both goalies are making their first career playoff start the last 40 years in the NHL playoffs. So first playoff start for Ronta and Olmark, and they've looked very good. Face-off one, Carolina. D'Angelo gets his slap shot block, picked back up by D'Angelo now across the blue line side of things. Tries to wrist it into the traffic and saved there by Olmark. As it went just wide as well after that too. He got a piece of it with the glove, and then they got a stoppage here. 14:23 left to go in this second stanza. Glad you can join me here for this Eastern Conference quarterfinal. Linus Olmark, 12 saves for the Boston Bruins. We're scoreless here. 18 shots on goal for Boston, 13 Carolina. Carolina wins the draw once again in the offensive zone. Shot goes just to the left of Olmark, as that was destined for the net if it was just 3 feet to the left. Boston now back into their own zone, trying to get this out of the neutral zone, picked back up by Svechnikov and blasted down the ice ever deeper here. And now we're going to get an offside, I believe, going to be against. So we're going to get a neutral zone face-off here with 14:03 left to go in the second stanza. This has been a game right now as it's gone along. There was some ebb and flow that started with the Boston Bruins. As it got toward the end of the first period, it favored the Carolina Hurricanes. Now Carolina is starting to get the better of the chances. They've won some offensive zone draws and started to apply more pressure to Boston. Again, Carolina outscored Boston 16-1 in the first 3 games, the first 3 meetings. Big hit on the left side as Carolina Niederreiter told McAvoy to take a seat. And now Pesce tried to get this one back there to Aho. He couldn't do it. Lindholm's holding it there with Bergeron. Couple contact on the left side boards between Bergeron and Stahl. It's still stuck on the red line side as Ronta holding on that right side post. And now Olmark as well, looking on the other side. It's still in Carolina deep. Now it goes into the neutral zone, and Ullmark will come out of the goal crease to play this one. Ullmark will bounce this one down the kick play. Beautiful pass there. Marchand plays this one ahead to Haula. Almost surprised Ranta with the wrist shot as he went high and right. He stopped it though. Carlo tried to play this out. It's on the left side faceoff dot is Brad Marchand. Holden off the backhand, still doing some work through the traffic. And Carolina able to get this one out as they get this down. It goes to Matt Grzelcyk now. Grzelcyk, extra pass. Marchand and Haula got turned around a little bit. That was Taylor Hall. Brad Marchand's got 1 goal in his last 13 games. That was an empty netter. But again, Marchand can get going at any time. It's a 2-on-2. Jarvis tried to get a pass out ahead there for Niederreiter. It got blocked, and now Jarvis is trying to be the first one to get to this one. But Grzelcyk gets there. Grzelcyk looking for an outlet pass. Gets knocked down by Carolina. It's in the neutral zone. There was a big hit on the neutral zone against Boston as they're getting some wholesale line changes because all the players are there. You might as well do it. And do we have a penalty or an offsides call is the question here. 12:26 offsides call against Carolina. We're getting immediate timeout. 0-0 your score between the Boston Bruins and Carolina Hurricanes. 12:26 left to go in the middle stanza. Come right back. We're going to call middle of the second period action. That was a good hit on the other side for Carolina with Niederreiter on McAvoy. Come right back.
We saved a lot. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com. Fresh wash since I bought it. Still can't believe this thing is yours.
No. Navy Federal Credit Union gave me such an affordable car loan. The rest was easy. I mean, I can't imagine making it down.
Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Enterprise isn't just one of the world's largest transportation providers. We're a committed team, helping you get to what matters most. Your family, your livelihood, and your next adventure. Getting you there begins with our employees, who are motivated to make a difference for you every day. Around the world and around the corner, in neighborhoods like yours. Connecting you to all the places you love. That's Enterprise.
Let's go in the studio. You know, after Toronto Maple Leafs collect 7 minutes of Tampa Bay power play time, what do you know?
So 7 minutes of power play time as ESPN is cutting in here to show you that the Toronto Maple Leafs, after that, Jake Muzzin, of all the talks we had about in the capsules there, Jake Muzzin with a big-time goal, the former Los Angeles King, always clutch getting it done, gives Toronto a 1-0 lead on Tampa Bay right now. Checking back into the middle of this game right now. It's still scoreless here. Middle of the second period, about 12:26 left to go. Almost halfway through the middle of the second period here. Scoreless between Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes right now. Puck goes just to the left of Ranta. Boston tried to intercept this thing there with Grzelcyk. Carolina gets this off the kick play there with Vincent Trocheck, who got punished, and it'll turn all the way around. This is Lindholm. Lindholm will rocket this one now to Pasternak. It goes off the kick plate to Svechnikov and Teravainen. They're going to try to reset this thing in the neutral zone. Trocheck gets a clean entry off of a few nifty toe drags there. And Ian Cole, third line defense now. We'll get this one behind the net. Try to get back to it. There was Ian Cole. It's held in across the blue line. Shot gets stopped there by Ullmark. And we're going to get a tripping call against the Carolina Hurricanes. That will put the Boston Bruins on the power play. Both teams now have had 2 power play opportunities here. So Carolina takes a tripping penalty, and this puts Boston on their second power play of the game right now as they're taking another look at this thing. And Ian Cole caught the skate of Trent Frederick there. He's going to the box, no doubt about it. He got in the wrong spot at the wrong time when he had that stick out there. Rod Brennamore doesn't like it, but that's the correct call right now. Boston trying to draw first blood, their second power play. They were 21% of the season, which was about mid-guard in the NHL, 15%. 15th in the NHL, 21%. They were 0 for 1 off 4 shots. Pasternak, shot goes way wide, pinballs off the kick plate, picked up by Carolina, and Pasternak will have this at the Carolina Hurricanes logo, right in the middle of the eye. Love that Hurricanes logo there. Ronta tries to get this around, almost gets intercepted there by Boston, and now it does at the blue line. Carolina trying to get this one down the ice, and now they do. So the Boston power play is now down to 1:30 left to go in the second opportunity. McAvoy from Marchand. Coyle now. And Carolina has a hold of this. It's going to get slap shotted all the way down the boards now. Pick back up, overskated there by Marchand. Aho going to be able to kill some time, holding off the backhand, and now go ahead and take a line change if he wishes to do so. This is now McAvoy, still holding there. He's going to go off the back skate, leave this one to Hampus Lindholm. Lindholm now to Hall from Marchand. And now Hall gets knocked down in his heavily padded wallet. And this goes back to Linus Ullmark. Lindholm now will spin around the cage. Boston power play down to 45 seconds. Not much doing right now as the Carolina Hurricanes have shut them down. Try to chip and chase himself, did Lindholm. And Ronta will hold on to this thing with 45 seconds left to go in Boston's second power play. 10:30 left to go in the second period. We are still scoreless right now in this game. And as we've talked about throughout some of the capsules when we did the previews of all 8 series, Carolina was the much better of the defensive teams, probably one of the best that we have in the league right now. No disrespect to the Nashville Predators and all of the cultivating that they can do with their D-men, but Carolina can play any which way. They can lock something down 1-0, 2-1, win the game. And that's what it's looking like right now. Boston's still on the power play though. Coyle, Haula, as if the blue line side gives it to Lindholm. Wrist shot through the traffic. Stopped by Ronta once. Where's the puck? That's what Carolina wants to know. And now they finally get it on the left side. Boston trying to get through this thing before it goes on the blue line. And Carolina dodges a big-time bullet there. Ronta made one save. There was bodies all over the blue paint. Ronta didn't know where it was. And now Boston has a chance to reset in their own zone. Nice entry there by Haula, but he got bounced off. It's a one-on-one. This is Aho. Wrist shot and held by Ullmark and then played to Lindholm. So Boston's power play is now over. Carolina returns to full strength as the lights flash red in the eye of the storm there. It is 0 for 2 on both sides. Haula trying to play this one off the backhand to Thomas Nosek, former Golden Knight and Detroit Red Wing. Carolina now in the neutral zone, working their way through with Jacob Slavin. Slavin tried to play this across the left face-off dot for Nino Niederreiter. Going to try one more time. Niederreiter can't get to it. And now Carolina falls back into their own side. He won the Lady Byng Award, Jacob Slavin did, for skill and sportsmanship. That's a lot of the Pavel Datsyuk Award, I used to say from years and years ago. Jacob Slavin's one of the very, very best lockdown defenders that we have in the league. As far as a pure lockdown, he probably is the best in the very short list. Natchez, Slavin, trying to get this one to Niederreiter before the neutral zone on the right wing side. Niederreiter now trying to get all the way in there with Kotkaniemi. Niederreiter still doing some work. Nice moves there. Try to get it to Slavin there off the slap shot. It goes just to the right of Ullmark. And now on the left side boards, everybody's taking a spill between Boston, Carolina, and their referee. And now Marty Natchez will turn this one back around, back to the defensive pairing of Slavin. Almost a crazy pass there. Slavin came back to be able to try to help that out. They're showing Jordan Martinook with 6 hits. Ronta misplayed this one to Aho and Ian Cole. And now Boston has a piece of this right now. Marchand will get this one around the net. Goes back there to Connor Clifton. Third line defense out there right now. Marchand holding. Still working there with DeBrusque. Connor Clifton slap shot and bounced and held there by Ronta. Looked a little unsure momentarily in his first career playoff start. First career playoff start for both sides between Ullmark and Ronta. But it was held. It's going to be a Bruins offensive zone faceoff when we come back. We're halfway through the third period right now, or second period right now. We are scoreless. Come right back. Let's call more of the middle of the second period.
Get ready for more with the new tomato grilled cheese at Dunkin'.
Oh.
More delicious ingredients, more vibrant new flavors, so you can get more out of every moment. America runs on Dunkin'.
Our priorities have changed.
Hey Alexis, play my music.
It's not just about getting ahead, but a constant grind. It's about knowing what you want
People need to read it.
I can't read it.
It's because you're like 4.
Switch to progressive and you can save hundreds. You know, like the sign says.
Welcome back with Canes coach Brad Brindamore. We talked this morning about the importance of special teams. What have you thought of the PK and power play so far?
Well, yeah, our power play wasn't great.
So Emily Kaplan right now is interviewing Rod Brindamore right now. He's saying both the power play and penalty kill he doesn't feel has been that great. He thinks Boston has had some of the better chances. I would agree with him at times, although I think Carolina has taken a little more control as the game's going along. But Boston, within the last couple minutes right now, as we're sitting at 8:05 of the second, has had some good pressure. So Boston has a offensive zone draw once again, but they cannot win it. This one goes cleanly now to Jacob Slavin, and then we'll get this one set there with Jordan Stahl as the third line's out there right now. Stahl holding off the backhand side. Bounced there by Carlo, worked over a couple times. Bergeron will join in on the fun to try to hound Nito Niederreiter here. Bergeron, a couple sticks out there. He's one of the very best two-way forwards that we still have in the league right now, despite getting a little bit longer in the tooth. Patrice Bergeron is world-class on all sides, whether it's offense, defense, playmaking, passing. He can do it all right now. So stoppage and play, 7:36 left to go, and this could be a penalty called against Carolina, the way that the crowd is reacting. So Rod Brindamore, Carolina ranks 5th in games at 694, 3rd in assists at 299 points, 473, played 10 seasons with Carolina. Rod Brindamore was really, really good. So played a long time with Carolina, was always one of the best. I think we had an offsides call or an icing call at that. So this is a offensive zone draw on the left face-off dot for Boston. That was an icing call. That was a weird one at that. So shots per period was 14 for Boston in the first, 8 in the second, and 10 and 4 for Carolina in the first and second, respectively. Connor Clifton still skating in there with Lindholm. Gets it blocked out in front there momentarily. Hall, as one of the Carolina players, falls down. They could have something here, but the pass was too soon there for Pasternak to get to. And now Jarvis will get this one on the left side. He gets punished and knocked down toward the left side boards. Picked back up by Hall momentarily there as Carolina tried to intercept there with Tony DeAngelo. They did. They tried to get that one in deeper. Second period is back underway between Tampa Bay and Toronto. Toronto killed off that misconduct there with Kyle Clifford, and they have the lead. DeAngelo, excellent outlet pass, but it was a little too hard there for Niederreiter. Stick is going to try once again as he gloved it out of midair. Try to get this one to Aho. Gets bounced to Svechnikov. Svechnikov gets dumped there by Charlie Coyle. Picked back up there by DeAngelo in between the skates, trying to hold it off the blue line, and Teravainen now has this all by his lonesome behind the left side of the face-off dot. Pass out in front for Slavin, no rebound now. It goes all the way to the right side. Picked out in front through the blue line, and Allmark saw that through the traffic. He made the glove save, and he got the stop. 22 shots on goal for the Boston Bruins, 14 for the Carolina Hurricanes right now, as we're still scoreless. 6:18 left to go in the second period. So it's a good contest so far. Again, as I've talked about a few times here, the ebbs and flows between both teams. I think they've favored both teams at times. And this is one of those games right now that's too close to call. Puck bounce here or there, as cliche as that is, could be the difference right now. Allmark, couple of almost stops there as it got stuck in front of the net, but Boston was able to clear that out before it went across the blue paint. Carolina being hounded behind their own net, where Antti Ranta was. Now it's stuck in between the neutral zone, picked up there by Martinook. He gets sandwiched on the left side boards, and he has to immediately go for a line change. Now Derek Forbert tries to get this one to Connor Clifton. Clifton out there, still doing some skating in there through. He gets all the way in there. He didn't pass it to Thomas Nosek, and now he goes all the way back, so he's got to be a little bit tired after all that skate. Foligno spinning as the fourth line's out there right now. We're going to hold him. Look in front of the traffic couple times. Ranta one save, and the second one just went to the left of the post. Boston buzzing now. The Bees doing some work. as Nozick was out in front of the net there with Foligno. Almost had a chance to get their first goal in the blue line. Broken stick. One of the Carolina players now gets to go retrieve a stick that just fell out of the hand. Teravainen trying to do a 1-on-2 magic show, and it goes just wide. And Boston now will reset on their own defensive end of Ullmark. That was very close there for Boston to try to get first blood right now in this game. Down to 4:55 left to go in the middle stanza. This is Jake DeBrusk off the toe drag, holding off the backhand side, still keeping the puck alive. Now this is in still deeper for Boston as Coyle's trying to get into it now. He can't get there, but DeBrusk still does. Brad Marchand emerges with it on the right wing side. Plays this one Lindholm, looking for the cross pass! And Ronta was down. He was Snow Angel. And it just went to the left of the goal mouth and down the ice. So Boston a couple times had a chance to make something happen with McAvoy and Lindholm as they made some nice work on that blue line. Pasternak, series of moves, tries to leave it there for Marchand. Now to Taylor Hall. Now he's on the left side faceoff dot, wrapped out in front, but nobody's home there. And Carolina is able to get the interception. Carolina now in a 1-on-3. This was Svechnikov. His shot got blasted wide. This is Niederreiter now out there on the left face-off dot side. Gets it back toward the blue line. Slavin there from D'Angelo. Slavin looking for a tip out in front. It goes past Jarvis's skate. But Carolina and Aho are now on this thing. Carolina gets this back out there with Aho and Slavin. Now it's behind the net. Teuvo Teravainen holding, looking for a pass. Try to bank that one off of Ullmark. Could not do it. It's still with Carolina in the offensive zone right now. They work this one to D'Angelo. Slavin, bomb shot, scores! Carolina gets on the board! Right off the blue line side. And they make it a 1-0 contest. That was good puck movement in between. I think this could be Cole's goal. In between Cole and Slavin and D'Angelo. And Carolina and the fans are up in salute in the air. This is Jacob Slavin with the hand tips. I think he might have gotten the goal. We're going to take another look at this. This was expert puck movement on the left side. This was D'Angelo to Slavin. And yes, it tipped right through the traffic. They couldn't see it. I think Jacob Slavin's slap shot was the last that went through the traffic. It got pinballed. This might also be Jarvis's goal. Slavin's definitely going to get a point here. I think it got tipped off of Seth Jarvis's stick. So it's going to be Jarvis's goal. Slavin's getting an assist. And it might also go to Tony D'Angelo as well. So between Jarvis, D'Angelo, and Slavin, Jarvis, your goal scorer, with a tip out in front from a Slavin blast. Carolina gets on the board first. And they should feel pretty fortunate at times because Boston had some good puck movement there. 39-4-6 is Carolina when scoring first. But don't forget, Freddie Anderson's going to miss the first couple games of this series, most likely. He's not playing tonight. Antti Ranta's in net. It's taken literally almost 37 minutes for a goal, but we got one now. Carolina has the first of the game at the 2:45 mark now left to go in this second period. Natchez trying to get in there deep. He tried to make something happen, and he almost did. Carolina buzzing right now after scoring that goal there from Jarvis off the tip. Try to get picked out in front of the air. Boston still working with this thing, still hounding Slavin and some of the other D-men that are back there right now. Natchez now gets this one deep. He plays this in towards center ice. Try to get this out to Niederreiter. Niederreiter takes a spill there from Nosek as he put the body out there. And now this goes to Brandon Carlo. Carlo gets this in deeper now. This is Charlie Coyle. Coyle holding off the backhand with Curtis Lazar. Now back to Coyle. Coyle tried to play that one out in front. Intercepted there by Slavin. Natchez now still getting worked over. Slavin's still back out there now with Tony D'Angelo as both of the first line pairing are back out there right now. This is Natchez. Natchez waiting up a 2-on-1. Shot gets stopped there by Martinook as Natchez was waiting in the slot, but the puck didn't come there. Now Martinook plays this one back into the defensive side. Slavin holding. He just had something earlier off of an assist there from Jarvis. It's played around the net now as Carolina has with 1:30 left to go in the second. Stahl gets this in deeper now. Niederreiter. D'Angelo holding on the blue line side of things. Gives us a score again! Carolina makes it 2-0. Nino Niederreiter gets the second goal of the game. And Carolina has absolutely thrown a couple uppercuts, and Ullmark did not see that one. That was a wrist shot that had eyes. And Carolina makes this a 2-0 lead on the Boston Bruins right now. The fans are in a frenzy, and again, that was some good puck movement there toward the blue line. D'Angelo plays this one out to Nino Niederreiter. It was a long wrist shot near the blue line that had all sorts of traffic in front once again. Ullmark was screened, he couldn't see it, and it was a bullet that hit the right side just in between the post. A perfect shot, perfect screen, everything else worked out just nicely there for Carolina, and they're up 2-0 right now. So Boston, despite, like we've said in this game, they've played some good stretches in this contest where they've outplayed Carolina. All of a sudden, just like that, Rod Brandemore's team is up 2-0. So Bruce Cassidy and his squad is going to have to go in the locker room searching for some answers here. Shot goes toward the left of Ranta. Knocked away from Holla. Try to get there to David Pasternak. Try to snipe the left side, and it goes just wide. We're down to less than a minute left to go. Nice moves there from Coyle. Got his pocket picked by Aho. It's a 2-on-2 developing here for Teravainen and Aho. Aho throws the body down, knocks Lazar off his wallet, and Ullmark has to make a big save, so you can't help but wonder if Boston is a little bit discombobulated seeing some stars there, but man, those were two quick goals there for Carolina. And as we talked about, their D-men are absolutely excellent, keeping the puck alive at the blue line, and Carolina do what they need to do, especially those playoff goals. Keep the puck alive at the blue line, get traffic out in front, make things difficult for Ullmark. They did that twice here in the second period. And they come right back. Let's call the end of 2. That was pretty electrifying there between those two goals there for Carolina. When we get a break in the action, I'm going to go back into the other game that's on right now. Toronto still holding a 1-0 lead on the Tampa Bay Lightning after they killed off that 10-minute major. 5-minute power play. They got a power play of their own, and they scored. So right now it's Seth Jarvis from Jacob Slavin and Ian Cole, and then the second goal belongs to Nino Niederreiter from Tony DeAngelo and Martin Necas. So Carolina has absolutely made things happen here late in the second period to take a 2-0 lead with just 42 seconds remaining here in the second stanza.
At Domino's, when you order carry-out online, we'll take $3 to use on your next order for being your home delivery driver. Because every great delivery driver deserves a tip. Only at Domino's.
The Carolina Hurricanes jump up front 2-0.
Carolina Hurricanes scored 2 goals in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and that was a good time toward the late end of the second period. It was Seth Jarvis off the tip from a Jacob Slavin blast at the blue line. It's also assisted by Ian Cole. And then pretty much the same thing on the second side. It was Tony DeAngelo keeping the puck alive on the blue line with Martin Necas. Nino Niederreiter had a long wrist shot that had eyes that hit the right corner, but the key was Jordan Stahl and everyone else was in front, making life difficult for Ullmark. He couldn't see the shot and he was screened. And Carolina has the first 2 goals of this contest. About 41.5 seconds left to go in the second stanza. Carolina wins the offensive zone draw. They're looking to buzz a little bit more just as we're ending the second period. Jesper Fast out there. Played out in front there for Carolina. And now they get back on their horse toward the neutral zone to get one more chance at this. This is Shea and Pesci, second line defense out there right now. And Carolina, I'm always so impressed with how I watch them. They don't really have to dominate a game, but then all of a sudden, a couple quick strikes like a cobra, and they turn this game right on its head. And Carolina has a 2-0 lead. Again, they had the 3-0 shot advantage in the regular season, outscoring Boston 16-1. They have a 2-0 advantage after 2 periods of play in the quarterfinal of Game 1. So the PNC crowd loves it here, and we have a Chiefs jersey from Slapshot as well, also pounding on the glass. That guy over there, that's pretty funny. Carolina has a 2-0 advantage. When we come back, we're going to get set to call the third period. And in the intermission, if there's anyone in the ColorCast side of things or YouTube, I'll interact with you. But if not, we'll talk to you in the third period.
Maybe Carolina gets some momentum in the late power play. And here's the third, getting back to more Carolina hockey. And just look at
So Toronto scored again right now on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I talked about my fantasy predictions as far as Toronto, and they can get all the way through. They could definitely win this series. Some things have to go right. And right now, it seems like Andrei Vasilevsky is a little bit shaky. You get to that point, you could definitely win this series with the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can get this game won, you feel a lot good. And Austin Matthews, as Kyle Dubas looks on, Austin Matthews is an absolute stud. Gives the Toronto Maple Leafs a 2-0 lead. I'm just typing some of the stuff of these goals here for the game story. So Toronto's going to the box here. So Tampa Bay, where they said they only had 7 shots on goal, and we're almost 11:44 in the second period. They got to get this next goal here, otherwise this is going to be a landslide. As Austin Matthews makes it a 2-0 lead for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, I'm not surprised. Even though I said Tampa in 6 is some of the prediction stuff, again, I gave reasons both teams could win this series. If Vasilevsky's not sharp, Toronto has the best offense in the entire league. And if they get a little bit of their defense, and then Kyle Dubas brought in Giordano and everyone else to kind of get everything all situated, looks like they've done so right now, holding the 7 shots. You could say what you want about Tampa Bay not being sharp toward the ending of the year, which is true. But you can't expect this, and they're certainly going to get their wake-up call. If they're not ready for Game 2, that could be very, very bad for Tampa Bay. Regardless of whether or not going for a three-peat, which is true, you don't want to look like this, because Toronto can make you look silly.
The all-new LX600, ready for any arena.
You'll always remember buying your first car, and buying a starter home, or whatever this is. But the things that last a lifetime, like happiness, love, and confidence, you can't buy those, but you can invest in them. We believe that your investment should work harder for the future you imagine. And that's where our strategic investing approach can help. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Well, we're going to get a look at for Tampa Bay. They get an opportunity to get one back here. There's a look at the penalty of Ilya Mikheyev. Well done, trying to argue his case, but
That's an easy holding call there, no doubt, on Mikheyev. So again, this Tampa Bay power play 0 for 3 tonight with just 3 shots on goal, and one's a 5-minute major, so it's really 4.5 power plays, and they just haven't gotten anything going. But here's their chance to get back in the game. 0 for 3 on the power play, 0 for 4, and Toronto 1 for 4.
I'll put this window here a little bit, it's getting hot.
they were surgical on their man advantage.
Oh, he's going to score. Wow, what a goal there by David Camp. And Toronto takes a 3-0 lead off a poke ahead of Victor Hedman. What a goal there for the Leafs. Absolutely dominating the Lightning right now. You got to be happy for all the Canadian fans there. They are punching the Tampa Bay Lightning right in the mouth of this game. My goodness. You could just feel he was going to score that goal there. It bounced right off the skate blade of Hedman. David Camp off to the races, and Vasilevsky, he did not look comfortable on that one. Just went right off of a perfect shot. Camp roops it, and Tampa Bay is down 3-0 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. As I'm in the intermission here between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes, just kind of get that going while I get my notes and everything else in order. This is not good here for Tampa Bay. If you're a fan of the Maple Leafs or anything else, you wanted to see the team break through that have had such promise all year. And going into Game 2, they should definitely have the Lightning's attention. I will definitely say that. If the Lightning don't come out and play a much better game in Game 2, they're going to get punched right in the mouth again. I will say that. Wow. You have to be very happy for any kind of Toronto Maple Leafs fans, anybody in Canadian teams. They fought so hard to try to make sure that not only have a great season like they've always done, you haven't had a first-round playoff success in, what, 20-something years. It's been a long, long time. You want to prove that things are different? What's the best way to do it? Come out and punch the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champions right in the mouth. Give them your best shot and prove to them that you're not going to be screwed with. You're not going to be toyed with. They're absolutely doing that right now in that game. So I'm in the intermission right now between the Boston Bruins and the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm just switching that over right now. We're getting some other notes off the first couple of goals. So we're going to do this one more time as this does not load. And try this again. Tampa Bay is in trouble. They're in trouble.
Will the wait be worth it? Will hockey be a town? Will a guarantee mean as much? Champagne tastes sweet.
the Blues and the Wild. Some 46 minutes on ESPN. Kevin Fiala is talking with Leah Hextall.
So Kevin, it is old, it's a little dinged up, but it's the thing of beauty. It's the most coveted trophy in sports. It's the Stanley Cup, and tonight you're wild to give it a quest for it. I gotta know, how are you feeling?
Very good. Very excited to get it going. It's been a long season, and we're all waiting for this moment, and today starts.
When it comes to the Wild and the Blues, I don't know in the first round if it's a more evenly matched team, and because of that, your head coach, Dean Evison, said there won't be one breaking point in the series, but every chance this Wild team has, they have to be aggressive against the Blues. What does he mean by aggressive?
You know, it's going to be a good matchup. They're aggressive teams, so we got to be aggressive as well. Make good decisions and just go for it. Just be on the offense, and I think that's what he meant with aggressive. Just don't be passive. Just go for it.
Is Wild team ready to rock tonight?
Oh yeah, we're going to be ready. Thank you.
Wild and Blues coming up. Steph 9:30 Eastern here on ESPN. Seth Jarvis has his first career playoff goal on that redirect. Carolina enjoying a 2-0 lead.
Started off nothing crazy. We go jumping the glass. As we're doing it, the more fans wanted to be a part of it. It kind of just took off, and we got pretty creative with it. Now, 19,000 people doing the sport class is pretty cool.
I don't think they do that in the playoffs. But we'll see. You've been watching the Discovery second Intermission report.
Only two things are forever. Love and limiting you from customizing your car insurance. So you only pay for what you need. If anyone objects to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. No, Kevin, no, not today. Only pay.
All right. Should be getting close here for the start of the third period. Joel Embiid is out with the concussion and the orbital fracture in the NBA playoff side of things. The Heat are up 64-61 in the Eastern Conference semifinal. The Milwaukee Bucks took out the Boston Celtics, who just swept the Brooklyn Nets in Game 1, as Giannis didn't have a great shooting game, but still ended up with about, 20 points, 16 rebounds, and 14 assists. And then the Mavs and Suns have the late game at 10 p.m. Eastern. 6-point advantage here for the Phoenix Suns. And everybody keeps talking about how Devin Booker is completely healthy when he's not healthy. The hamstring, he's hampered with the injury here, so I think the Mavericks have a good opportunity. I wouldn't say win this series, but I don't think that it's just going to go away here. The Mavs aren't going to get absolutely schooled if Devin Booker is not completely healthy here. I know Chris Paul went his way without missing a shot and things like that, and things looked a little different, but I would still say the Suns, if they win at 6, I could see it going the other way here if the Mavericks come out and assert themselves. If they can knock down the 3 in the way that they did, although I will say this, Phoenix is not going to give them as many uncontested looks historically that the Utah Jazz did. Anytime you had Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gobert out on the floor, it was open season for Maxi Kleber, Bertans, anyone else you wanted to throw out there as far as getting an open look from distance. And that's not going to happen in this series. So, second period goals, and we're still waiting to get underway for the third period. It was Seth Jarvis from Jacob Slavin and Ian Cole, and then Nino Niederreiter from Tony DeAngelo and Martin Necas late in the second period. Let me give you the times for those. It was at the 16:28 mark and the 18:38 mark. So, Carolina Hurricanes are really close to doing the storm surge here in Game 1. They've got really good play there from Antti Raanta. Again, Ray Ferraro has made a few mentions about his rebound control, and that's fair. But he stopped the pucks in front of them, and Ullmark, again, I think Ullmark's been fine, but when you're screened on some of those and you can't see, it's not one of those things where you got to make that. You couldn't make the save. So Carolina, even at times where Boston has had better pressure and at times played better than Carolina, Carolina's returned the favor more in that second period, not just because of the goals. They played better in the latter half of the second period, turned things around, and now they're up by 2. As we're going to get set for third period action here momentarily.
You're watching the Stanley Cup Playoffs on ESPN, presented by Geico from PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, where the Hurricanes, 2 goals into the second period, lead Boston by a score of...
So Carolina, 2-0 shot, 2-0 goal advantage, 47-42 shots, offensive zone timeout, 3-minute advantage, 10:31 to 7:27. Face-off percentage, you're dominating, 61% to 39%. Boston can get something going here, but they got to do it quickly because Carolina come out in the last few minutes of that second period, turned things around, and got themselves a 2-0 lead. Despite a Boston, sometimes, especially at the beginning of the first and the middle of the second, where they had the advantage, Carolina just completely turned it on its heels. You're keeping the puck alive at the blue line with Tony DeAngelo and Jacob Slavin, and then you're getting good traffic out in front. That's what the playoff goals that have to happen right now, and Carolina's got 2 of them. So we're getting set here to call third period action between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. Again, if you're just joining me, Carolina got out to a 2-0 advantage late in that second period, courtesy of Seth Jarvis off the tip from Jacob Slavin and even Ian Cole, and Nino Niederreiter from Tony DeAngelo and Martin Necas. And that's where we are right now, where it's 2-0 going into the third period. So getting all this other stuff squared away, Carolina's 34-1-3 when leading after 2 periods of play. And now they have an extra goal. 2-0 lead now as we're 19:30 left to go here. We're just opening the last period of play here, really. Boston trying to get in off this forecheck, stolen there by Svechnikov. Svechnikov holding, gets knocked on his wallet there, and Boston is able to turn this thing around with David Pastrnak looking for a clean entry, tried to play that one and sauce it to Taylor Hall, and Carolina was able to knock that away courtesy of Jacob Slavin. DeAngelo will bounce this one there to Sebastian Aho and Svechnikov, and it's intercepted there. Pastrnak will spin, try to get this one around the right side face-off dot with Charlie McAvoy, and Carolina and Tony DeAngelo now will wire this one down the ice, where this should be an icing call, and it is. So Boston's going to have an offensive zone draw. 18:52 remaining here in the third period. Again, 2 more games on ESPN in the Western Conference brackets out of the Blues and Wild. Many people are predicting that to go 7, myself included, and the Kings and Oilers are at 10 p.m. Eastern. Could there be an upset looming here for the Edmonton Oilers? Everybody knows about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Not a lot of people know about the back end of the LA Kings. Even though Drew Doughty's out, that could be a very, very good series. So, Connor Clifton now, third line defensive side, gives us to Craig Smith. Craig Smith trying to barrel his way through 2 Carolina players. He couldn't get around DeAngelo. Extra shot stopped there by Ranta. And a stick is lost there by Carolina as one of the players will have to go try to get one right now or try to retrieve it. They got plenty of time right now as it's in the neutral zone. Charlie Coyle will get this one right onto Ranta. And now you will, because Ranta made a glove save and held on, will like to stop this thing with 18:25 left to go here in the third period. John here with you for the Eastern Round Game 1 quarterfinal between the Boston Bruins, the first wild card in the Atlantic, taking on the Metropolitan leader Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina 42-1 when leading by 2+ goals this season. Their only loss came on January 22nd against the New Jersey Devils. So, as I've talked about many times, when Rod Brendamore's team gets a lead, they hold on to that lead, and they know how to play with small leads, and they know how to whittle it away and find a way to win, to see that storm surge at the end of the game. Yes, for Fost. Can't glove this one down and try to go to Niederreiter. Now it's in the neutral zone where McAvoy is trying to get to this thing, and now Jake DeBrusk will get this one down deeper here for Boston. Patrice Bergeron not having the greatest night on the draws. He's 7 for 19. He's usually a lot better on that side. Carolina has dominated a 64 to 30-something% advantage as they're looking out right now for Peter Chekhov here for Carolina, and he's just getting a chance to look cool right now because Antti Raanta is doing his job. So Chekhov was 3-0 in the regular season with a 242 goals against and a 920 save percentage. His numbers were good, but he's only had 3 regular season games played. He hasn't even played a playoff game. Raanta hasn't played a playoff game either for Carolina, but he's had a lot of NHL experience. So you figure they'd have to go over Raanta over Chekhov, and it's looked pretty good right now because Ranta's 28 for 28. Carolina's got 19 shots on goal. Ullmark stopped 17 of those. Marty Natchez gets it off the face-off and get this one down to Ian Cole. Cole, a couple extra skate aheads across that red line before he can get that down and negate an icing. Nino Niederreiter trying to get on this thing. Natchez also joining, and there's Connor Clifton's being hounded. Carolina able to get this one. Ian Cole will wrap this one around the net once again behind where Wayne Gretzky always used to do his work. Connor Clifton now with Lazar. Picked back up there by Slavin there momentarily. Niederreiter gets roughed up a little bit there by Clifton. And now it goes back into the Boston defensive zone where it goes behind the cage of Ullmark. The reset on the left wing side. This is Pasta. Took a hit. Carolina back in behind their own side. And Pasternak is going to wire this one just toward the left side post. Stop there with the paddle of Raanta. And now DeBrusk now behind the net with Jarvis waiting the centering pass, and they score! The Boston Bruins find a way to break through, and now this is a 2-1 contest. So it just went around Jarvis behind the net. They played it into the slot, and I think Taylor Hall got every single bit of this one-timer. It overpowered Raanta, and Boston now has this within 1. So it's played well behind the net. This was Charlie McAvoy pinching all the way in between 3 Carolina players. He gets this right out in front, and the shot from Hall just surprised Raanta. There was, let's see if there was some traffic in front of the net. There was just a cross probably at the wrong time between Boston and Carolina players, and it stopped Raanta being able to see that shot. And Taylor Hall scores off the one-timer. It gets Boston within 1 early here in this third period. Still 17 minutes left to go. Taylor Hall's 8th career playoff goal. He makes it a 2-1 contest now as Boston gets within 1. Brady Shea and Brett Pesce are going to try to reset this thing here. Again, Carolina is very good when they have the lead right now. They've only blown 1 of them throughout the entire season, so I imagine this isn't going to be much different. NHL this season, 219 comeback wins in the third period, which is the second most in NHL history. ESPN's got to like the fact that there's a lot of goals scored. That's what people like to see. I like to see good defense as well. Pass gets knocked off in front of Ullmark's stick, put down the ice, and now it goes back behind the cage as Lindholm and McAvoy will try to get around there. Aho with a big hit to dislodge the puck there from Boston. And now Brennan Smith plays this one to Aho. Aho right off the kick plate as it was live. Aho got smashed there. Now Ian Cole and Frederick have their sticks stuck again, and the refs are just going to blow it dead. This is going to be a neutral zone face-off here as Ian Cole and Trent Frederick were exchanging some words. 16:07 left to go here in the third period is a 2-1 advantage for the Carolina Hurricanes. Taylor Hall just scored to get the Boston Bruins back within 1. It was some really good work there by Charlie McAvoy behind the cage of Raanta. He was being outnumbered 3-1. He got the pass out in front of the slot, and Taylor Hall finished his business there with a screen out in front momentarily as there was a blow-by between the Carolina Hurricanes and Boston Bruins. Raanta couldn't see it. Puck went in the back of the net. So Boston is out shooting Carolina 29-19, but they're down 1. So the Leafs, they're showing off a studio update. Pass out in front of the left wing side, held, and Mitchell Marner makes it a 4-0 lead for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they are destroying the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. So Marc-Andre Fleury they're showing right now, he might be getting the start game whenever we can't tell, but as the Blues and Wild will be up next after this contest. And then don't forget you have the Oilers and the Kings to follow a half hour later. So ESPN and ESPN2 family networks, any Canadian teams, you can catch them on CBC if you wanted that kind of coverage. And usually the CBC coverage of the Canadian teams, that's what you want. It's a good coverage on both sides. So we have a whistle blown 15:36 left to go in the third period. Tony DeAngelo's got his hands up like they're going to be calling a penalty. I think this is one of those things where it's just an offside there. Tony DeAngelo's having a couple words here with the referee, and he said F you to somebody here. So he's getting a little upset here about something. Somebody pushed me off the blue line side, he's saying right now. He had a couple words there for the referee. So Tomas Nosek is getting set in there for the draw. This one is going to be Kasperi Kotkaniemi. Kotkaniemi wins this one clean here for Carolina. As we're down to 15:30 left to go in the third period. Boston trying to get this into the neutral zone. Stopped there by Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith and Curtis Lazar collide. Kotkaniemi gets this one deeper there, and Linus Ullmark will go back on his goal cage to play it, but he overpassed it, misplayed this thing. It's stuck in between. Boston finally recovers there as Thomas Nosek now skates in behind the own goal cage. Tried to get this out to the neutral zone, picked up by Carolina. The puck is still stuck in by the eye of the storm there is the logo. It is a 6-0 shot advantage for Boston here in the third period. Carolina yet to have a tally, but they still have a 2-1 lead. No shots on goal here in the third period, but 15:01 left to go in the third period. John here with you. Carolina is up 2-1 in this Eastern Conference quarterfinal. I'm in PNC Arena here with you from Raleigh, North Carolina. This is a series that I feel could go 7 games, and I took Carolina in a 7-game advantage. Win, lose, or draw with Ronta in net. I still think they're good enough to get it done right now, but Boston Bruins, they've really impressed me right now after getting absolutely pounded against Carolina in the regular season. Again, they've had playoff success against them, knocked them out both times in the second round. Shea gets his shot blocked, stopped by Nosek there before it even hit Ullmark. Carolina's still working with this thing as Natchez tries to get this back there to Brett Pesce. He can't do it. Pesce now tries to get a piece of it. It's still picked up there by Curtis Lazar there momentarily. And now Aho holds this thing back there to Svechnikov. Svechnikov shoots it just wide. Nobody's there on the blue line side of things. And Boston can skate this one down there with Pasta holding off the backhand. Stopped there by Ronta as he held that left post. Now Hall plays it out in front. It gets stopped by one of the Boston players inadvertently that fell in front of Ronta, as that could have been dangerous there, and Hall could have had a bid for his second. McAvoy leaves it there for Pasta once more, and it goes toward the left side boards, picked up by Carolina, and then stolen immediately. Taylor Hall, clean entry, wrist shot, it's off the bar! Taylor Hall just missed a goal there. Hall off the backhand side. Now back there to Hall and stopped there by Ante Ronta. So Taylor Hall, couple big times, he just hit the crossbar on the left side, but he got Boston within one. It's 2-1 now. About 15:30 left to go here in the third period. Come right back. Let's call some third period action once more.
I've travelled all over the country talking about saving it with God, though. Well, that's the important bit, isn't it? Showing up, saying hello, fancy a nice chat. Then we talk like two old friends about all the savings you can get by bundling your home and fire insurance. But here's the real secret. Eye contact. You feel that? We just had a moment. Who'd have thought it?
Geico. Save even more when you bundle home and car insurance.
So, people can get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 when they trade in a Galaxy. Any year, any condition.
Oh, I get it. So you can take your old phone that you've had for 12 years and loved every minute of, and trade it in for something new that suits your life now?
That's right. Yeah.
Didn't it immediate success? Even though you'll never forget your old phone?
It's a great trade.
Life changing.
Get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 with any Galaxy trade. Any year.
So it's pretty much over at this point unless Tampa Bay comes back with a superhuman comeback. They're down 4-0 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're getting blasted on the road at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. This might speak toward the end of momentum here for Tampa Bay, where they were kind of just treading water. Again, it probably doesn't matter where Tampa Bay finishes, but they definitely got the wake-up call. I've said that a few times, and if they don't come out in Game 2 with a little bit of energy, and Andre Vasilevsky has to play a little bit better, Toronto is definitely capable of winning the series. I said Tampa Bay in 6 out of sheer respect of Andre Vasilevsky, but I also told you, as we're trying to give seasons and reasons for both here, that if they succumb under the pressure a little bit, their defense isn't that great. They've had some missed opportunities, and Vasilevsky is a little shaky. Toronto can make them look silly, and they're doing so right now in Game 1. So in this game right now, it's the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. I'm covering the full game here for you. Taylor Hall just hit the post, and he had another opportunity that just went wide to possibly give Boston a tie here, but he did get the first. We got 13:35 officially remaining here in the third period. Is Carolina yet to have a shot on goal right now, but they have a 2-1 advantage in this third. You have to have a shot on goal in the third period, I should say, because Boston, I think, is up 9-0 in that side of things. So, McAvoy tries to get this one down the ice. He can't get around the Carolina player who intercepts it at the blue line side. That was Seth Jarvis, and now he's going to immediately turn around and take a line change. So Taylor Hall's been excellent over the last few shifts. Another high wrist shot goes just to the up over the glass of Ranta. 2-on-1 developing for Carolina. Oh, Teravainen scores! 2-on-1! And that's exactly what you needed right now for Carolina. Just like that, the 2-goal lead is back for the Hurricanes there, as that was played perfectly. And Teravainen puts it right in the back of the net past Ullmark. Nothing he can do there. I think that was right from Trocheck there. So Hall fired it just wide. It created an opportunity off the break that had Trocheck and Teravainen. Trocheck passed right over to Teravainen off the 2-on-1, and no chance for Ullmark. And it's a 3-1 lead here for the Carolina Hurricanes. That was utterly perfect. Can't do that any better there off the pass and the fast opportunity there off the 2-on-1 break. And Teravainen off a Trocheck feed makes it a 3-1 lead. So for all the pressure, again, the scoreline might not dictate as well as the Boston Bruins have played. For all that pressure, Carolina come back with a 2-goal lead once more on their first shot on goal in the third period. Absolute backbreaker here for Boston. So Ian Cole with Smith out there right now. Again, this is Teravainen. Gets around the cage there for Brendan Smith. Teravainen plays this one to Svechnikov. Trocheck now. Brendan Smith tries to blast this one, and Ullmark, wow, he saw that one all the way. That was a fluttering puck. And now we got a little extra here between Coyle and Trocheck as they're bouncing around the net a little bit. The refs are going to try to break this one up as quickly as possible. 12:22 left to go in the last stanza. If you're just joining me, Teuvo Teravainen made it a 3-1 lead for the Carolina Hurricanes. Taylor Hall's shot went just wide. It created a 2-on-1 for Trocheck. Cross pass to Teravainen. No mistake about it. Beats it past Ullmark. And Carolina now up 3-1 on the Boston Bruins. And again, I'll say this as many times as I need to, in the sense that Boston has played very well in this game right now. But Carolina, they just always stay poised. And anytime they get that opportunity, again, it's their first shot on goal. We're at 12:22 left to go in the third period. First shot on goal of the last stanza. And they have a 3-1 lead now. They're being outshot 30-20. So Boston trying to make some work here with Connor Clifton. Shot stopped there by Ranta. Ranta's been very good when he needed to be right now. 31 shots on goal. He's made 30 saves. He's got his first career playoff start. Maybe some of the rebound control. The Ray Ferraro, as mentioned, has been a little shaky, but he's been very good. Lazar tries to get this one down the ice. And now Nosek also gets a piece of it. It's stuck behind the cage of Ranta. And Ian Cole will get this one down. Intercepted there by Boston, but they can't hold the blue line. And Thomas Nosek will get this one out of Connor Clifton. Clifton still holding, keeping it off the toe drag. He's got it in his own end. He's going to turn around and look for some help. And he's going to play this one to his other defensive partner there. Gets it back now, as Connor Clifton has it. Tries to look for a stretch pass down the ice. It gets momentarily blocked down. Marchand can't get there to help in time. And it goes all the way back to Forbert. Forbert now gets it played down the ice a little bit toward the PNC Arena logo. And the ESPN camera lost where the puck was. Shot blasted by Niederreiter and held there by Ullmark. As it's 11:13 left to go in the last stanza. Carolina now with just their second shot on goal in the third period. But they got a goal from Vincent Trocheck and Nito Niederreiter. Again, Blues and Wild, Game 1 upcoming after this one on ESPN. 287 career goals, regular and postseason combined, 5th most in Blue history. Again, Vladimir Tarasenko was exposed in that expansion draft of the Seattle Kraken. They got to be thinking they're lucky stars that Seattle did not take him, and Vladimir Tarasenko is going to be looking to do some damage. Carolina's doing some damage from the faceoff dot. 34-19 is the advantage right now. They're winning in the all-important categories of puck possession, and that's why they got a 3-1 lead, despite being outshot 32-21. Carolina, again, wins this one clean. Now Brady Shea will get this one down the ice. Picked back up there by Carlo. Carlo almost blows a tire, but he gets this across the red line and down the ice just before has to go for a line change. Pasta overskated it. Here comes Svechnikov, booming his way down the left wing side. Toe drag a couple times. It's lost him between his skates. Boston might have an opportunity here. It's a 1-on-2 though. He needs some help. Pass across, just a lids Pasta there. Spun around there by Bergeron, and now Taylor Hall tries to join in off the front. He gets blasted on the left side boards and drops his stick, and behind Olmark, and now it goes down the ice as Ranta, by the end of Ranta, and then Olmark goes down the ice, and it's icing called against the Carolina Hurricanes. So Taylor Hall has been all over the ice. He took a huge hit there, I think courtesy of Jacob Slavin. Played all the body. Taylor Hall dropped his stick. He was shaking his head a little bit. He got smoked there by one of the best, very best shutdown defenders that we got in the NHL right now, Jacob Slavin. Vincent Trocheck on the draw there with Charlie Coyle. Boston finally gets one of these things, but Coyle can't hold it clean now, and they get it down the neutral zone. We're about halfway through the third period now, about 10:20 left to go in the third. Carolina up 3-1. And we got a call here. I think it was an offsides. We got a mass communion here toward Antti Ranta here. 10:20 left to go in the third period. Carolina up 3-1. In game 1 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. John out here with you from Raleigh, North Carolina. It is the Carolina Hurricanes, the top seed in the Metropolitan Division, taking on the first wild card in the Atlantic, the Boston Bruins. Carolina outscored Boston 16-1 in the 3 regular season meetings right now. Boston has had the better success in the last few years, knocking out Carolina in the second round. Both teams looking to advance out of the second round as there's bodies hitting the ice everywhere here. Smith is down. He's slow to get up, holding the left leg. Picked back up though, but because both of these people are playing right now, between Boston and Carolina, there's a penalty on the ice. Ranta, Snow Angel save. I think Ian Cole might have stopped that from going across the goal mouth. But because both of these teams are playing, somebody's getting knocked out and they won't be advancing on the second round again. So Craig Smith draws a penalty. This is the 3rd power play for the Boston Bruins to just 2 here for the Carolina Hurricanes. And this matters right now because you got plenty of time. You still got halfway of the third period to go. We're at the exact mark. Craig Smith is being attended to. I think he may be holding his wrist as well. So he got knocked down really hard a couple times. Ranta made a save off of the pad. Pass went across. Cole stopped it from going across the goal mouth from Charlie Coyle. And looks like somebody missed a tooth. Maybe a chiclet was knocked down there by Smith, unless he was already missing one. A lot of hockey players are missing some teeth, but they always have those beautiful pearly whites. So Carolina gets it down the ice. Boston 0 for 2 on their power play, 6 shots. They were 21% in the regular season, which was about mid-guard in the NHL, 15th. So, minute 45 left to go on the Boston power play. They're down 2. They could use this now. Still plenty of time left to go in the third period. Hurricanes' penalty kill was 88%, which led the NHL. They were hovering around 90 a few times, above 90. We did a couple of the games earlier on Color Cast between the Edmonton Oilers as well. Pastrnak cross pass, just eluding Coyle there. They're going to try this one more time with Bergeron. Gets knocked out at the blue line side, and Bergeron's going to have to reset it because Brady Shea got in the way of it. And now, McAvoy trying to get across the PNC Arena logo of the Eye of the Hurricane. McAvoy, toe drag, trying to get this one around behind the net of Ranta. Overskated there was Hall. Teravainen got a piece of it. Aho trying to kill some time. Carolina has taken the Boston power play down to 1 minute. Nothing doing here on the third power play opportunity here for Boston. Carolina still has a 3-1 lead here on the Bruins. Extra pass across now for Quell, trying to race down the right wing side. Can't do it once again as Carolina keeps him out. Holding is Bergeron. Ranta plays it with the stick blade. Goes back to Cole, almost bounces in front of Ranta. But now he plays this one off the kick play, does Jacob Slavin, and gets this back to Lampus Lindholm, who's now on the right face-off dot in his own defensive zone. Lindholm looking for a neutral zone entry. He's able to get around 3 Carolina Hurricanes. It bounces off the kick plate, almost intercepted there once again by Boston off of a break. And now Haller will go all the way back here on the power play side. He's looking for an entry toward the right wing. He gets in clean there with Coyle. Haller trying to help, but Carolina once again, they get this down the ice and they stop Boston without a shot. And all of the fans are standing and waving the white towels as Carolina returns to full strength with 7:50 left to go here in the third period. John out here with you with the Eastern Conference quarterfinal. It's game 1 as the Stanley Cup playoffs begin today. This was the early game here with the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. We get an offside call. 3-1 advantage here for Carolina as we're just going to be taking a break. Teuvo Teravainen got the cross pass from Trocheck. Made it a 3-1 game as his bullet on the left wing side beat Ullmark for a 3-1 advantage. So at the end of 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs are sandblasting the Tampa Bay Lightning. It is 4-0 for the Maple Leafs. Let me give you your goal scorers here while we're under a commercial break right now. So under a commercial break in my game between Carolina and Boston, all 4 goals courtesy of the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was 3 second period tallies, 1 first period tally. First period tally from Jake Muzzin, Ilya Mikheyev, and Andre Kasha. Then it was Austin Matthews in the power play for Mitchell Marner and John Tavares. David Camp scored shorthanded, assisted by Marner. And then Marner got his first of the playoffs here under game 1 for Austin Matthews and Morgan Riley. So Marner all over the score sheet. Austin Matthews all over the score sheet. All the big boys are getting it done. And Jake Muzzin, recovering from all those concussion issues, got the goal scoring started. And Toronto absolutely opening a can on the Tampa Bay Maple Leafs and outplaying them in every single way. They've scored on the power play, they've scored shorthanded, they've scored in even strength. They've dominated Tampa Bay here today. But there's one more period to play, but maybe the score line might change, but I don't think the result's going to change. I don't think there's any way that Toronto is going to be coughing up a 4-0 lead. Again, there was all those talks about that during the regular season. You can poke fun at and all that, but this is a much different team that they were able to bring in there courtesy of Sheldon Keefe's squad. To be able to bring in some guys from Mark Giordano and everyone else in the trade deadline look a lot different. So Emily Kaplan is reporting here for ESPN that Patrice Bergeron is an unrestricted free agent. This is 18th season here for the Boston Bruins. So are you going to be treating it as the last dance? That's what Emily Kaplan was saying. And right now they're just going to say they're going to try to survive. Bruce Cassidy was saying they're trying to survive the Carolina Hurricanes. Right now they need to get some inroads going. They're down 3-1 right now to the Hurricanes on road ice. Again, Boston started out very well in this game. They put pressure on the backup goaltender, Nanti Ranta. Frederick Anderson, who got injured in that Avalanche game a couple of weeks ago. He's probably missing the first couple games right now, but Carolina look like it hasn't mattered right now. Nino Niederreiter has him the left face-off dot. Natchez gets upended, still gets it to the right side boards of Aho. Aho gets this in deeper. Big time hit there as Natchez returns the favor on Coyle. Carolina keeps this in on the blue line side with Tony DeAngelo now. Kasperi Kotkaniemi needs some help there as he's getting worked over there with Niederreiter. Niederreiter with an extra cross-check and a push. And that's not called as they were buzzing up there with Noshik. Kotkaniemi and Noshik still doing some work against each other as they're going toward the line change. Hall spinning, turning, they're still going, and the refs are letting them go right now, and now they've finally taken a line change. So Boston has an 8-2 shot advantage in the third period. They had an 11-9 shot advantage in the second, a 14-10 shot advantage. They have a shot advantage in every period, but Carolina is leading on the scoreline 3-1 with 6:30 left to go in the third period. Grizzly turning around, trying to get across the Hurricanes logo, and an offside entry here for the Boston Bruins. So 6:27 left to go in the last stanza. Carolina now up 3-1 courtesy of Teuvo Teravainen. And a pass there from Vincent Trocheck off a 2-on-1. Seth Jarvis got the first of the game with a tip on front there from Jacob Slavin. And then the second one was pretty similar as Nino Niederreiter got, not a tip, but a lot of traffic got in front that Linus Ullmark couldn't see. And then the latest goal, after Taylor Hall got a one-timer in the third period that Charlie McAvoy won off a 3-on-1 behind the net, it was Teuvo Teravainen off of Vinny Trocheck 2-on-1 pass that made it a 3-1 scoreline right now, and that's where we sit right now, with 6:26 left to go here in the third period. So, it is a face-off win for Carolina. They've been good all night in that regard, 36-22. Boston Bruins trying to keep something going here. They have it on the left face-off dot. Now it goes behind the net where D'Angelo and Slavin were at. Brady Shea also looking on. And a shot gets stopped there by Ronta as it was just toward the left of the boards as Marchand to try to make a short bid there to surprise Ronta, but nothing doing there. They're showing Kirill Kaprizov 47 goals in the regular season, which was most in Minnesota Wild history. He also hit over the 110-point plateau. Everybody's saying the Blues and the Wild series could be one of the most competitive in all of sports. Could be a 7-game series. I think it's going to be Bill Husso and Marc-Andre Fleury in net on both sides. Carolina wins this one clean. It goes back to Ronta, who plays it with the stick blade. And now Boston trying to get on this thing with Brad Marchand. The perfection line's been a little quiet as they don't have any points yet. Taylor Hall has the goal here for Boston, but they're down by 2. Bergeron has it bounced out in front. And now here comes Nino Niederreiter. 2-on-1 developing again. Niederreiter holding off the wrist shot. Missed it all. Tries to go back on the right side. Be the first one to get to his own rebound, and he almost did. Brad Marchand now got shaken up a little bit, which will be to the delight of pretty much every other NHL fan outside of a Boston Bruin there, as he's holding the gut there a little bit. Hopefully ESPN can show some of that to see how it ended up happening. Ullmark will play this off with his own stick blade and will rock it off the kick plate all the way back to center ice. Slavin misplayed it. He falls down. Smith, wrist shot stopped out in front by Ronta once, and the rebound wasn't picked up by Boston cleanly. So Slavin blew a tire that created an opportunity there for Boston. They've kept this alive. They got at the left faceoff dot with Smith, trying to pick this one back to Lazar and Trent Frederick. Smith still doing some work here. Lazar gets this one to Connor Clifton. Clifton bomb shot there with Derek Forbert. And now a couple cross checks there for Smith as he's trying to get on Lazar. Hit him across the head a few times there with Ian Cole. And see if the refs can separate this one right now with 4:50 left to go in the third period. 3-1 your score. Carolina has the edge. 4:50 left to go in the last stanza. Come right back. We're going to get set to call the end of the third period action. So third period is now underway between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's still a 4-0 scoreline in favor of the Maple Leafs. They've been all over Tampa Bay in this series right now. It's not been a competitive game in any stretch of the imagination. And as much as we've talked about this game between Carolina and Boston, scoreline might look a little bit different, but Boston's been very competitive. They've been out shooting Carolina, and they've had better play for the most part, but Carolina's taking advantage of the opportunities as comparison to Tampa Bay, who, when I last checked in the middle of the second period, they had 7 shots on goal, and Toronto already had 3 goals, and now they've made it 4.
Great fan experience here in Raleigh. They have a great time. They love this team. It's an easy team to like. talented and hardworking. Reflection of their coach. This place has really found its energy, found its groove here.
We're getting set to call deep into the third period action here. Carolina Hurricanes still holding on to a 3-1 advantage. They're looking to take a 1-0 win. Brady Shea was in all alone. The shot was stopped by Ullmark and off of the break there. And Boston dodged a bullet here. They have a 4-0 lead due to the Toronto Maple Leafs. 4-0 lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, as the Maple Leafs have outplayed them in every stretch of the imagination. In comparison to this game, that's been largely competitive, but Carolina has a 3-1 advantage on the score sheet. Marchand looking for a tip in front there with Bergeron, and nothing doing. The perfection line is pointless right now in this game. And not pointless in the sense of what they can do, but they don't have a point on the score sheet here. Ranta is slaving now as he goes down the goal cage to play this one. One odd man rush for the Bruins. Carolina, that speaks to how good their defense is. Aho holding off the left wing side of the faceoff dot, tries to play it out in front and center it. It bounces right back to him, and now Matt Grzelcyk will play this thing with 3:45 left to go in the third period. Carolina up 3-1. Antti Ranta making his first start in net tonight in place of the injured Frederik Andersen, who got injured a couple weeks ago with the leg against the Colorado Avalanche. And on the other side, first playoff start for Linus Ullmark. Again, you don't have a lot of that with the Buffalo Sabres when he was over there. And again, I thought he's been decent too, but Ranta has had the better of the plays. He's made 35 of 36 saves as a comparison to Ullmark, stopping 19 of 22. But on some of those, Ullmark was heavily screened. Really isn't anything that could change, but it'll be interesting whether or not in Game 2, if Boston wants to go ahead and make some changes, because Jeremy Swayman and Ullmark both appeared in 41 games, which is exactly half of the NHL regular season. Trocheck holding off the backhand, and he surprised Ullmark and your announcer as he roofed it toward the left post. And Carolina takes a 4-1 lead now over the Boston Bruins. And I can say that that's one that Ullmark's got to have. But I really don't think that Ullmark expected him to take that backhand. And I didn't either. And Vinny Trocheck now makes it a 4-1 lead for the Carolina Hurricanes. So he's all around the left faceoff dot, goes deep inside past the red line. And what a ridiculous backhand for Vinny Trocheck, as he just roofs it behind the mask of Ullmark and roofs it and banks it right in off the dome and in. And Carolina Hurricanes now have a 4-1 lead, as that should be all she wrote there. Murder she wrote. Angela Lansbury on the Boston Bruins here for Game 1. Vinny Trocheck, his third career playoff goal. A 3-goal lead for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's not good. And Linus Ullmark is going to the bench for the extra attacker right now, as Bruce Cassidy is trying to pull all the stops. 6-on-5 here for Boston. They need something to happen here. Bergeron, shot goes high and wide. Taylor Hall tries to play there again. Extra skater out there right now. Hampus Lindholm, extra skater out there right now for Boston. They're down 4-1 with 2:30 left to go in the contest. Hall can't get to this thing. Lindholm needs some help. And Charlie McAvoy goes all the way back in his own end where the cage is empty. Teravainen holding. Now with Niederreiter. Teravainen. Natchez. They're going to hold this thing a little bit more rather than shoot on the empty net. And now it gets in toward the neutral zone side of things. On ESPNU will be St. Louis and Minnesota right now. Once this game is over, they're going to join that live. And then I'll have the complete game coverage. Aho, empty net, cross pass, and that is it. Aho to Svechnikov makes a 5-1 lead now for Carolina. A bloodbath in Game 1 for the Carolina Hurricanes. So, as we've talked about in the regular season, the 3 meetings where Boston was outscored 16-1, make it 5-1 right now in the first playoff game, as Carolina is absolutely spanking the Boston Bruins. And again, for the shot advantage and some of the other effort, I think Boston has played a better game in certain aspects of it. But it just tells you how Carolina can knock down those odd man rushes, stop Boston from getting those premium chances, and they've done that. They've taken control of the game when they needed to. Every time Boston looked dangerous, they played well in front of Ranta, and they've gotten the first game on home ice here, which a lot of fans expected. It's a 5-1 lead for Carolina, so they're looking for more. Natchez gets knocked down. Hands up in the air from all the fans. Makes it hard to see right now, but Can't blame anybody at PNC Arena. They're loving it here in Raleigh, North Carolina, as they're giving it to one of the teams they hate the most, and the Boston Bruins. And you think with this scoreline, if things continue to get the way they are in this series, you know Boston plays with that edge, and that's saying that kindly. Things could get a little nasty here in this series. So you want to try to play away from that physical play and not get rattled, and Carolina has always been able to do a lot of that. They play one of the best all-around games that we have in the NHL right now. So you don't want to get too involved with the fisticuffs and all that. But I really want to see that storm surge and everything else. As the Carolina fans are absolutely loving it right now. They just should, because their team played a great game in Game 1 of this Eastern Conference quarterfinal at home between the Boston Bruins, the top of the Atlantic wild card, and the first seed, the Metropolitan Carolina Hurricanes, that were one of the very best teams that we had in the Eastern Conference. Again, everybody talks about Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Florida for good reason. You can't sleep on the Carolina Hurricanes. One of the best button-down defensive teams, can do it all in any way. And when they're more keen to win a 1-0 and a 2-1 game, as we're down to the last minute, when they win a 5-1 game and they blow you out like that, doesn't feel good for Boston. So they're going to have to reverse course, get ready in a couple days here again on Wednesday when they come back into Carolina and play this game. Shot goes just wide of Allmark because he's just back into the crease. Now down to 35 seconds as all the fans are on their feet waving the white towels. Very impressive performance here for the Carolina Hurricanes as they absolutely shut down Boston. 5-1 right now. 20 seconds left to go in the contest. Slavin with Aho. And now he's got it to Slavin. Slavin getting the entry there. Brady Shea gets us in deeper now. Now we're down to 10 seconds. It's in the Boston defensive zone. Everybody's standing and waving those white towels, and they're cheering ever louder as we're down to 5 seconds. Ian Cole going to hold this one. And now we got a meeting here at center ice. We got some fisticuffs going. Some sticks and helmets are off, but no punches are really thrown. We were just talking about that as we were just ending this thing. Kotkaniemi with a couple extra shoves in there with Charlie Coyle. Whether or not we were going to see something. These two teams, I know the cliche thing is to say that they don't like each other, but Carolina, again, 16-1 advantage within the first 3 games. Boston within the last few years, every time they met up in the second round, Boston was the one to dispatch them. Carolina wants to show them this time that things are different. 5-1 scoreline with 6 seconds left is going to tell you that it is. Antti Raanta, first career playoff start. He's been in the NHL for a long time. Had to back up the injured Freddie Anderson that got hurt a couple weeks ago. And on the other side, Linus Ullmark for Boston, making his first career playoff start. He's been there for a while too, but coming over from the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres hasn't been in the postseason in a while, so both of these goalies making their first career playoff start. And Carolina opened up a can on Boston here today. It's going to get a 5-1 win when it's all said and done. They got 6 seconds left to go before it's official. But a 5-1 win here in Game 1 over the Boston Bruins. Not much changed as far as the regular season performance of it, but Carolina wanted to show things different in the playoffs in comparison to Boston dispatching them in a couple second-round meetings in the last few years. It's been in this game. Antti Raanta was brilliant. 35 saves on 36 shots. 972 save percentage. Peter Chekhov looking on. He might have had the start, but they went with the veteran Raanta. Face-off is won there by Boston. And that's it. The Carolina Hurricanes, they win Game 1 of this Eastern Conference quarterfinal. They take out the Boston Bruins 5-1 as everybody's surrounding Antti Raanta there and giving some fist bumps and some hugs there. And they should, because all the fans and everyone else are lively in Boston. I wouldn't say all their heads are done and dejected, but they know they got punched in the mouth here in Game 1 and they need to come out and answer in Game 2 and take advantage of it and try to get this series back to 1-1. Everybody's still crowding around Raanta, and all the fans and everyone else, the flags are out there now. They're loving it. So it's going to be it for me tonight, and then tomorrow we'll probably have the early action between the Penguins and the Rangers. I know I'm going to have another game this week, probably take a break Wednesday, and then follow up through the weekend side of things. So have a good one, everybody. We'll get this game starting play-by-play typed up and sent out, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Points this regular season, most in Wild history, single season record, 108 points. He's an absolute superstar for this team and a must-watch player on every time the puck's on his team. He set all the offensive
recent benchmarks this season for Minnesota. Yes. And a Minnesota team that had their most ever wins and points in a season as well. Not surprising. But it should be a very evenly played series between these two. And we have our first penalty call away from the play. It looks like maybe a Minnesota power play.
St. Louis penalty number 26, 2 minutes for holding.
So Nathan Walker to the box.
Walker can't believe it. He's in disbelief in the bench inside the penalty box, but the fans certainly on their feet in approval.